Hello, everybody out there in podcast land. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. This episode is brought to you by Transfuse. Transfuse is the only all-natural electrolyte drink that you guys need to have in your cabinets. We love this stuff. We've been using this for an entire season now. This stuff is amazing. I feel great when I drink Transfuse. I drink it every single day. I don't go a day without putting a packet of Transfuse in my water. It's very easy, very portable, easy to travel with, and delicious to drink, which means that you're going to love drinking it and you're going to drink more of it, which is going to be incredibly beneficial to your health. Has magnesium, potassium, sodium, which are all amazing for proper hydration. It has zinc, vitamin C, vitamin B, and choline. These things are incredible cognitive enhancers and immune boosting formulas that you don't want to miss out on, especially in times like this. I'm telling you, I drink Transfuse every single day. I love it. Tyler does as well. Anybody who has tried it has been just pouring with great feedback back to us. There's a reason that they're at all the NXL events, and a lot of the top teams and top professionals are using this product. Do not walk around dehydrated. I never realized how dehydrated I was, even when I was drinking all sorts of water. It's not enough. You need the proper nutrition. You need the right ingredients. Transfuse has done a great job of curating the perfect formula. Transfuse is absolutely spectacular, and for all of our listeners, there is a special deal for any Play the Game listener. If you head over to translabs.com, that's TRANZLABS.com, and use code PLAYTHEGAME at checkout, you will get 10% off. If you subscribe, which means they auto ship you your package every single month, whatever you want, whatever type, whatever flavor, whatever electrolyte formula you desire, they will give you an additional 11% off. So it becomes a 21% discount exclusively for all Play the Game listeners. Huge shout out, and we are incredibly thankful for our supporters. And if you guys would like to go support them, it's translabs.com. Use code PLAYTHEGAME. We are brought to you by Heal Brand. Heal Brand is the best CBD company that we have ever come across. I've been taking CBD products for years now, and I absolutely love it. But Heal Brand has taken my CBD consumption level to the next tier. This stuff is really the luxurious, high-quality, best brand that you're going to come across. Their whole claim to fame is the nanotechnology. It's the real deal. The claim is that through their nanotechnology, the CBD can actually break through the cellular wall and get into the bloodstream much faster and more efficiently. So you need less to do more. Often CBD products, you'll need to take it for a couple weeks before you really start noticing all of the benefits. With this stuff, as soon as you take it, you notice it right away. Within 15, 20 minutes, you're feeling the benefits of CBD. CBD is great for inflammation, anxiety, sleeping, all sorts of different stuff. CBD is really exploding on the scene because it has such a wide variety of benefits. I personally love to use CBD before I go to bed so I can get a full, well-rested night of sleep. Sleep is so crucial. It's so important. If you want to recover well, if you want to fight off depression and anxiety and those unwanted emotions, proper sleep is where you need to start. CBD products really help me do that, and Heal Brand CBD has a wide variety of options of different products, different formulas. It is all natural. It's amazing. This stuff is fantastic. You guys can head over to healbrand.com, check them out, and there is an exclusive offer to all of our PTG listeners. If you use code PLAYTHEGAME at checkout, you'll get 10% off. This episode is brought to you by G2 Paintball. G2 Paintball is a paintball athletics company designed to make you a better paintball athlete. If you guys haven't heard about G2, you need to go over to g2paintball.com right now and figure out how you can become better at your craft. The Dynasty guys, all of us, we went out to Arizona and did an intense 3-day G2 training before World Cup, and we think that it really paid dividends and helped us go the extra distance. When we were running deep into the tournament, we were well prepared. G2 Paintball is unlike any other paintball company because they are geared around making you a better paintball athlete. So often I see players training in ways that are not going to help them be more functional and agile on the paintball field. In paintball, you have very specific movements that are hard to train for. G2 Paintball has done a great job of customizing a training program to make it so that you can maximize your abilities on the paintball field. G2 Paintball has also recently partnered up with the Paintball Combine. We're going to be out there in Arizona. Ryan Greenspan, myself, Tyler Harmon, Rusty Glaze, many, many more out there at the Paintball Combine in Arizona. If you guys are in the area, this is your chance to come to the Combine, showcase what you got. You know, everyone says they want to go pro. Well, here's your chance to get seen by all of the pro players and to put your skills to the test and be actually recorded on the national and global level. Do not miss this opportunity. You guys could head over to g2paintball.com to learn more about G2. Head over to paintballcombine.com, learn more about the Paintball Combine. If you guys are in the area, do not miss this event. All right, everybody, we have an amazing show here with Brian L.B. Fow, formerly of infamous Avalanche and Image. He played for all the top dog names back in the heyday when these teams were at the heights of their career. He was one of the leading pioneers in paintball and traveling and teaching clinics. He has won everything there is to win in the game, all the big, massive events in paintball's heyday. So having Brian on is an absolute honor. We are incredibly thankful, and I honestly think we're probably even more thankful that he listens to the show. And after some of the episodes, he's definitely messaged us and said, hey, yeah, I got to come on and set the record straight on this or that. So it's funny to get all the old heads on. We're incredibly humbled by it. These guys were our idols growing up, so it was awesome to be able to sit down, have a conversation with LB. And without further ado, we're going to hop in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication. And the crowd starts chanting Harmon. Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game. He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Okay, we got him. It's Brian Fow. We got the legend himself, OG Avalanche player and played for Infamous. And one of the most prolific players, in my opinion, that came up and set the heritage for everyone out here that's playing paintball. So honored to have you on the show, brother. How's it going?
Good, boys. Good. Honored to be here, man. Looking forward to this. Yeah.
AZ
Hell
crew.
yeah.
Let's go.
AZ crew is right, brother.
Yeah.
LB in the building right now. I just got to say to all the listeners, one, first of all, we're like honored. Tyler and I talk about it all the time when the OGs, you being one of them, hit us up. You guys have listened to the show. To us, that's like one of the coolest things ever. It's one of the best compliments I think we could receive. Just the fact that you guys listen, because it's a long time adage that the cool players in paintball, and you were definitely one of them, don't really consume all the paintball products.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's the videos and all that kind of stuff. So to hear that you guys enjoying the show is pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. I think you guys do a hell of a job. You know, that you guys have you provide a lot of good content, that's relevant. You know, and you know, you could be an outsider come in, which what I think is you know, incredible or remarkable about what you guys do is you could be an outsider to tournament paintball or an outsider to paintball in general. You know what I mean? And listen to your podcast and or watch the podcast and have an idea of what paintball is and what competitive paintball looks like. That's tough to do. You know what I mean? And you guys have managed to figure that out.
Dude, it's been so much fun. And like we've had people that have never played paintball and like tune in and they start playing paintball. And that's like the ultimate honor for us, obviously, is getting people that would probably never have heard about paintball or picked up a paintball gun, like come through and see the Play the Game podcast and then start playing paintball. It's just like, whoa, this is pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I sent the Chris's interview to my mom. She watched it last night. She texted me this morning. She's like, "Oh my God, Chris said this, Chris said that." I'm like, "I know, Mom. Trust me."
He was letting it rip. Shout out to Chris Lasoya.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the godfather of the game. Absolutely love him with all my heart.
Yeah, no, he's the man. He's definitely the man. I love that guy.
Just one of the pioneers of just being the pioneer of being a rock star paintball player, right? Like that. Sure. He was the first like real superstar, in my opinion. And a lot of that is like timing. You know, it was just the time when media was, kind of putting some focus on paintball, and he was this, larger than life kind of person. But it's just so funny that after that episode, you were messaging us, wait, we got to set the record straight. Because obviously you were a long time teammate of Chris Lasoya. You've been around with him. And
dude, LB, you were right there during his rock star moments on the same team. What was that whole experience like? What was it like being a part of that clique, that organization, Avalanche? I mean, the energy was just, dude, it was crazy.
I mean,
the bad boys.
I can't. I mean, there's so much that I can tell you, and there's so much that I can't tell you. But no, I mean, I was talking to JR last night. Telling him I was going to come on you guys' show,
Yeah.
We just went down a rabbit hole of just reminiscing, man. I mean, so like, you got to understand, like, Chris's like original like nickname was Glory Boy. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I don't know if you guys remember that, but
I
like,
do.
I mean, it's because he got his nickname because he sought out the glory. You know what I mean? And and he's an incredible dynamic player that you're going to get everything you got from him, and he's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was. You use that term rock star. I mean, it kind of was in our own little world. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I gotta tip my hat to Ed Borman. That guy. He went above and beyond to take care of his players, and he did a great job of marketing his players and marketing the team more than anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the way he worked with sponsors and vendors to get cash and to get product to make the team run and keep the players happy was. He did a great job. So he's owed a lot of credit, and sometimes he gets maybe looked over, but yeah,
Ed's
I mean,
the man. He's so good. I remember being a kid and like Ed kind of cheering me on because I was the young kid in the pros and stuff. And he's just always had such a great energy about him. And he truly, I mean, to this very second, I know he still loves paintball with all of his heart.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, he's still involved. I think I think he's got a field at Nebraska, and we're linked up on social media, but he's always posting pictures of his field and younger kids playing, which as you guys know is important. You know what I mean? We need to continue to drive youth into the sport, continue to drive participation into the sport to keep it up so that it continues to grow. You know what I mean? And things like this right now, what we're doing will obviously help that. But I mean, he's a good dude. But yeah, I mean, to bring it kind of back to Avalanche, I mean, it was crazy. Like, the things we did then, like I could never imagine doing today as competitive as paintball is now. And as hard as you guys were working and grinding and sharpening the blade. I mean, dude, we were fucking off a lot of the time, you know what I mean? and just doing dumb shit at night and, getting 2-3 hours of sleep and, rolling into an 8:00 game and, the huddle would not smell great. You know what I mean?
Dude, hold on. I want to kind of stop you right here because this is heavy duty stuff. You guys were ripping it. I mean, enjoying life to the fullest. And let's not beat around the bush. I mean, I know I'm 31 years old now. I got 2 kids, but there was a time when I was young T and I was 21, 22, 23, 24, and I was having fun too. And paintball is a unique sport in that realm because, obviously, at this very moment, I take paintball as serious as anybody on the planet. But, when I was younger, maybe I was more enjoying the experience. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about here.
It was also a level playing field back then, though. Everybody was enjoying the fruits of the travel and all that kind of stuff as well. So it's not like if you were out at night, you were going to be behind your competitors. It's just the time that it was in. That was the era, and there's nothing wrong with it.
You bring up a great point, Marcelo. Like, you would go out at night and you would see all your homeboys. You know what I mean? That you're going to play against the next day. So at least to your point again, you knew it was a level playing field. You're always looking around and making sure someone from the other team is there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that, like, if he's still here, I can still be here. But no, dude. I mean, like, just the travel and like I don't know if I was talking to Chris or John the other day. But like I don't know if we were in Sweden or if we were somewhere, man. And like I don't know if we won the tournament or not, or maybe we finished second. But we went out that Sunday night, and then like I think I want to say Soy drove. It wasn't bad, but like we parked the cars.
Hold on, time out real quick. For all the listeners, Soy is Chris Lasoya. Tyler and I had never heard this nickname before, and all of a sudden LB's texting us, wait, Soy said what? Soy said this. We're like, Soy. Oh man, that's a new one. I've never heard that.
Yeah, so,
I like it. All the listeners. Soy is
so we parked the car somewhere, and obviously, like, it's I don't know whose name the car is in. I don't think I was old enough to rent a car. You know what I mean? And then we woke up in the morning because like we cabbed home. We woke up in the morning. And we're like, "Where's the car?" And we had to go to the airport. You know what I mean? We had to fly back to the U.S. And so we just left the car. Like I don't know if I think Ed had to pay for like a Renault in France or Sweden or something like that. That probably cost that poor guy like 15 grand. I'm like, Jesus, what? I mean, how irresponsible is that? But a hell of a lot of fun. I'll tell you that much.
No, for sure. Yeah, and the European landscape is such an enjoyable paintball experience. I mean, if you've never gone to Europe to play paintball, just save up some money and do it, because you will never regret that experience. And to do it at the pro level, and have that honor of also, carrying the American flag on our backs when we do it is also a tremendous honor. So it's crazy over there. It's fun. Shout out to Europe. We love it out there.
Yeah, it's definitely. I can remember the first time I think I went to France to play Toulouse in like '97. I think was the first time I'd ever gone overseas, and it was just like they just did stuff better than we did. Not everything better other than play paintball. I mean, we were leaps and bounds above and beyond them, but they their venue looked ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they did it. They did it right with promoting it and making it look like look good,
like a real spectacle, a real professional event. Yeah, European events have always been really fun to go to. Just the whole culture, the whole vibe there is like there's all the players want to be there. It's a big party. It's everyone's involved. It is marketed really well. I feel like they've always done a great job of that. I appreciate them for that, for sure.
No, for sure.
Yeah, and it's not easy to do, man. Putting on those events is a big task, and they do a great job of doing that. So shout out to them. NXL Europe. Yeah.
No, I mean, even I feel like we were playing in stadiums before ever playing anything close to that here. I mean, Crystal Palace in England or London or whatever that city is, that was that venue. Even Toulouse was an amazing venue. They did it right. And WDP did a great job back then of taking care of their teams and.
The angel tents, dude.
Those were something else, brother.
If you know what I'm saying. Shout out to Angel. We appreciate you.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Angel's the business. I know when I was a kid, that was the gun I just would be gleaming and drooling over, is those Angels, man. There was something special at the, this is like 2002. In that era right there, and when people were shooting Angels, you stopped and you were like, "Damn, that guy's got a sick gun,"
Oh yeah, no, I mean, we never even heard of it, because when I started playing from the Midwest, Shock was the big team, and they shot all Danny's cockers, you know what I mean, and then the guy that I played with, Caesar with Fusion, he started making a cocker. It's I remember when the Angel came out, I was like, an electronic gun? I'm like, what is that? It's from space. You know what I mean? I'm like, we got a 3-way and a rock and a ram up front, and it's guns heavy as hell.
But
yeah, no, they did a great job, man. Supporting us in Avalanche and and taking care of our whips, and they always looked they looked amazing, and their tech support was dynamic, and the guns shot good, man. They kind of broke the mold,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, I want to kind of dig into your backstory and kind of get the grassroots of LB and how you fell in love with paintball, how you got introduced to the sport, and kind of hear that whole little saga right there.
Yeah, man. So I remember, I think I was 11, nice. and I'm from Michigan, it's a suburb outside of Detroit.
Yeah.
And my parents they wanted to go to the Michigan State Fair. And I was like, I don't want to go to the state fair. I want to hang out with my boys and skate. You know what I mean? I don't want to, I'm over it. You know what I mean? They're like, no, you have to come. You're going to like it. And I was like, all right, whatever. You know what I mean? I was kind of being a dick, and so I go to the Michigan State Fair and I got $20 in my pocket. And my mom and dad went and did something on their own and saw some exhibit or whatnot. And, so I'm just wandering around the carnival portion of the fair, and
carnival.
It's actually what it was. It's in here.
We laugh about these. Sometimes we're we're going to the carnival, and it's funny that you actually went to the carnival, and that's where you
and I can hear like, the paintball guns going off, you know what I mean? And I kind of walked over to the booth, and they were, they were pumps. They were Tippmann like SL 68-2s or something like that. And so they were pumps, and they were like chained down to the booth. Right. And, there was a dude like in a snowmobile suit and like a motorcycle helmet, like so bad, right? Like not wearing paintball goggles, like literally wearing a motorcycle helmet. He's just running around back and forth, and like making obscene gestures towards all the people that are at the booth, like shooting the guns. And so it was like a buck for 10 paintballs, right? And so, like, I buy, I give the guy, $1, and he gives me 10 paintball, and like, I picked the gun and just start smoking this dude, right? And I was like, this is the greatest thing in the world. You know what I mean? And I mean, like, I spent $20 in a matter of 20 minutes. You know what I mean? And like, and the guy had enough. You know what I mean? They had to like go behind. It's like sitting. Like, I'm like shooting him in the neck. You know what I mean? Tagging him. And so I go home that day, and this is like kind of like, it's like not pre-internet, but, we still had like yellow pages back then. Like it's it's a phone book.
Yeah. Yeah. You had to like pull out a paper map to find where you're going to go. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and so I look up like paintball, in the yellow pages, and I find that there's a store, like a paintball store, like brick and mortar paintball store, like 3-4 miles from my house. Like I jump on my bike and I ride to that store, right? Like right then and there. Right. And I get in there, and like, and I'm blown away. You know what I mean? And then like I started saving some money.
What was the name of the store? What was the store?
Lone Wolf Paintball. So like they're pretty.
Dude! Shout out to Lone Wolf Paintball.
Is it the Lone Wolf that's still around?
Yeah. Joe and Tony Angelira. Yeah, their dad Sam. Sam is like a second father to me. But yeah, no, that's the first store first store that I ever was around. And so I saved up some money, and I went with my buddy at the time. I think we were in seventh grade, and we went to Lone Wolf Paintball, the outdoor, right?
Yeah.
And we had rented equipment, semi-auto like Tippmanns, right? And so we're playing like all day, right? And we're like I'm not to be like an arrogant asshole, but like we're just smoking people down. You know what I mean? Like literally, it totally just came, like, I don't want to say it came natural, but it kind of came natural, right? And so then I got a little cocky, like the last game we played, right? And I hadn't been shot all day long, right? And I was like, this game's easy. Like I'm like, whatever, man. And so I hadn't been shot all day long, and and so like I got a little bit overconfident. I kind of ran through, and I got destroyed, dude. Like I didn't see these dudes like hiding in the trees, whatever. I mean, I got shot in the head and the side of the neck, like all over the place. And I was like, maybe this sport's not for me. It's like these guys are shooting 350 feet per second,
And you're 11 years
11,
old?
Yeah, 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
That takes you to your knees quick.
Oh, yeah. Dude, yeah. And then, like, I mean, like, eyes watering. You get shots in the back of the head, like, eyes are watering. You know what I mean? And I remember getting home and showering and, like, just feeling, like, lumps on my head. And, like, obviously, we all know what paintballs look like on the body. But then I was like, after I licked my wounds, I continued to ride my bike up to the store, like, almost every day, man. Like that, at some point, they had to be annoyed with me. You know what I mean? But then they're like, look, dude, if you're going to be here, like, we're going to put you to work. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'll work for paintballs, And so, I'd clean guns and clean masks or do whatever around the shop. And,
absolutely.
I kept, like, every weekend eventually going out to the field. I got my own gear. I got a Tippmann, like Pro-Am or Pro Carbine or something like that. And, I got my own gear. And then, I remember I knew I had made it when, like, so we're in line for registration at the field, right? It's, there's 50 people deep, you know what I mean? And I'm waiting in line, my waiver, and just like, come on, man. And I knew I'd made it when Sam Angeliri, like the owner of Lone Wolf Paintball, Joe and Tony's dad, came and got me and said, come with me. You know what I mean? And so he takes me up to the front and like takes my waiver and just like, gives me a tag to go play. And he's like, you're good, go. And I was like, whoa, man. It's like,
I'm the shit.
yeah. Well, I'm like, everybody see that? You know what I mean? Like one, it saved me like $20 for registration. You know what I mean? And two, like like Sam was like the legend of Lone Wolf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
That's so amazing that you started with Lone Wolf, because we actually really want to work with them and are super inspired by them as well. So it's just full circle having you on, and we've actually been talking about Lone Wolf recently.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm proud of those boys, man. I knew them when they were babies. You know what I mean? And
Wow.
like I actually used to like watch them when Sam would go out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, they've really done a great job with their whole social media presence and their online shop, and the field is great too. I mean, they do a hell of a job, running paintball games and. Yeah, so yeah, you should. I would encourage it. I'll put in a good word for you guys.
Hey, there we go.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, starting out at the paintball field, the store when you're a kid, that's how I did it. And I know Marcelo has similar, it's like
100%.
you gotta, when you're young and you can't really make that money and you need to find a way to play, just go to the field and be a pest a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I think the difference is, though, honestly, Tyler, and you're right. Like, that is what you should do. But I feel like back then, I'm sure LB's the same, Tyler, I'm sure you're the same. I know for me, it wasn't so much about what I could get out of it. It was that I didn't want to be anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so it was cool that it also allowed me to do, more paintball and stuff like that. But it was just, I was going to be at the paintball store anyway. Same thing, LB. I would go to the paintball store every single day. Velocity Paintball was in Poway. I'd ride my GoPed down there, and I would just hang out like a hoodlum at the store, play imaginary paintball, help them with stuff, whatever it was. I was probably annoying more than anything. I was like 12 years old, 13, but it was more just because like, didn't want to be anywhere else, and I don't see many kids that really have like that kind of passion, and I hope I'm wrong, I really do. But
while we're at it, I got to shout out my childhood store, Twisted Paintball. Shout out to Twisted.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Twisted. Shout out to Twisted.
Nice. Yeah. And so like I would go to the field every weekend, you know what I mean? And I'd have to figure out a way to get there because it was like, it was like 30 miles from where my parents lived, you know what I mean? So like I'd have to bum rides off people or, fortunately, like a couple of guys that played at the field, like lived sort of close to me and they'd swing by me and grab me. My parents, my mom and dad would take me out there all the time. And they just hang out there all day long while I was running around like a crazy person, you know what I mean?
Well, you got the best family, dude. Shout out to your parents and
no, I mean my mom and dad definitely super super supportive and couldn't have asked for a better. In the beginning, and I'll come back to it, but in the beginning, it wasn't so well received. Like because I played every sport under the sun, and I remember coming home and telling my mom, I was like, look, I'd give it all up to play paintball. You know what I mean? Yeah. And she's like, are you kidding me? You know what I mean? It ended up working out in the right way. But as I'm at the field and I'm playing at the field all day or all the time, I would either like ref Saturday, play Sunday, ref Sunday, play Saturday, and then there was a local team at Lone Wolf. It was Sam's team and it was called, you love this name, it was called Mega Power.
There we go.
and so we they asked me to come out and ultimately that was my first team ever. We played like local 5-mans and the big tournament of the year was the amateur, like Zap Amateur Open in Pennsylvania.
I remember hearing about that tournament even when I was coming up as a kid.
Oh man, dude. I mean, you got to imagine, like I'm 12 or I think 12, you know what I mean? And I'd been to some like little 5-mans, you know what I mean? And this is obviously all in the woods, like no concept fields at all. And I remember getting to the Zap Amateur Open and just being like I thought that I was on a different planet, you know what I mean? Like like tents and vendors, like everything you see in the magazines, all the products in the magazines, like they're there, you know what I mean? Like Smart Parts is there, Adam and Billy Gardner are there, you know what I mean? And so, and then, we just continue to kind of evolve. And
if anybody listening out there hasn't been to a tournament, an actual like trade show tournament, you have got to experience that. I know when I was a kid and I flew to Florida with my dad for World Cup for the first time, from that moment on, it was a sealed deal. It was done. I was going to be playing paintball forever, and it's like, it's like you said, those people that you see in the magazines or on the internet, they're all there, and it's just an amazing experience.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you think that they're godlike, you know what I mean? And I will say that about almost everybody. I mean, there's a couple, couple dudes that were not super awesome, but what I will say for like for the paintball community, for the pros like you guys and what I would call like the celebrities of the sport. Everybody's really approachable, you know what I mean? And everybody, will take 5 minutes to talk to a fan or, sign a jersey or an autograph, whatever. I don't think you see that a lot in other professional sports, you know what I mean? Obviously, like, there's a time and a place, but you can paintball is unique in a way that you can engage, with the best of the best, and you guys will shoot the shit with them like
Totally.
they're your neighbor, you know what I mean?
Always, yeah.
So I would applaud you guys for that. You know what I mean?
That's what it's all about. That connection means more to us than anything, because without that connection, we're going to disassociate with everybody, and then paintball will not thrive. Like, you have to have that top level connection. And I know it's different in all, the big sports. They make millions of dollars.
Right.
We're scraping by, but we
right, yeah.
we still find it, even say someday that I do make $1 million. I pray to God that happens playing paintball. And
yeah, buddy.
I'm still gonna be in my DMs messaging everyone back. I'm still gonna be connecting with my community, because it means so much more that way. I don't know, for me, and I know Marcelo feels the same way.
Yeah, it happened again this weekend. Walking around at the local paintball field, you have people stop and say, "Whoa, like you're out here," and it still just catches me off guard. I say, "I'm a paintball player just like you. That's all I am." I'm to me, I really feel that way. I don't feel like I have any sort of special clout. Sure, there's cool things that come with our position and what we've done in the game, but at the end of the day, we're paintball players. And I think if you understand what it means to be a paintball player and you devote your life to being a paintball player, we all are connected from the same fabric,
Yeah.
And so it's pretty easy to be humbled by that.
Absolutely.
That's a good point, Mark. That's a good point.
Yeah. All right, so I want to dip back into your story of like you were talking about how you were getting into the tournament. We're at the Zap, and then I want to kind of drive through your heritage and just get up to when you were playing with Avalanche and Infamous and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, so I started playing with, again, Mega Power and Sam and the Lone Wolf guys and the local team, and I think that I excelled pretty fast, and granted, I'm 12, I'm playing with grown ass men, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're in their late 30s, and and like they're grown men, you know what I mean? And like, I don't want to say
you
that they
were the first kid paintball player, pretty much. I mean, like you, like
oh, did I?
you know what I mean?
My dad had to write a note saying that I was, give permission to go, travel with these dudes, and if anything happened, they would have, power of attorney, whatever the hell it's called, you know what I mean? And I'm just this 12-year-old kid that weighs 120 pounds, dripping wet, you know what I mean? And these dudes are, these are grown ass burly men, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Great paintball players, but like I fell in love with the sport immediately, you know what I mean? So, and I wanted to continue to be better and continue to work on the game, you know what I mean? And I don't mean this in a bad way, but I think the guys that I was with were kind of just satisfied, playing like local 5-man stuff, local 10-man, and having the Zap Amateur Open be like the big event of the year, you know what I mean? And so there was a couple, 2 or 3 teams in the area. The guys that you would know would be, like Travis Lemansky played in a competing team, and Greg Posey played in a competing team, like Andy Kopchak and, some other dudes that played. Cesar Pizzo, who was kind of like the, sort of like I don't want to say the founder of Fusion, but what we decided to do is we kind of took the best players from all the local teams and created Fusion, you know what I mean? And so I think we did that in 94, 93 or 94. And we created Fusion, and we would practice. We'd get up either Saturday morning or, I'd drive down early on Friday night to go to Chicago, go to Badlands, like stay at Danny's house, go get our ass kicked by Aftershock, Saturday and Sunday. If you staled the game, like that was a win, you know what I mean? And,
For
like,
sure.
Normally, like they were just running down our throats, but it ultimately, like, it made us better. You know what I mean? It made us better, and it was a good lesson, and we learned a lot and sharpened the blade.
You're talking about the aftershock from the push video. You know what I'm saying? Like these were the dudes.
No, like Spud and Bruno and Rennick, you know what I mean, and the Northrop brothers, and like obviously Danny and Ralphie, and those, and Billy, Saransky is just, I think, was one of the best paintball players in my generation, at
For
least.
sure. Well, no wonder you got good.
Yeah, you had to. I mean, it's like, I don't want to get shot in the head again. You know what I mean? Like, shit. So we would drive down, I think we went to Chicago 12 weekends in a row from Detroit. You know what I mean? And,
wow.
This was before like Pittsburgh MPPL 10-man. You know what I mean? Like 5-man and 10-man. And Fusion we ended up winning Pittsburgh. We won Chicago as amateurs, and then that next year we were back in Pittsburgh, and we I don't know if we turned pro, because if we turned pro, we were going to knock the men out, because that was back in, like, if you qualified, like, you played 6 games in the prelims, and if you qualified, like, if you put 6 bills on the board, like, there's a good chance, like, you're going to be in the top. And so if you qualified above professionals, like, you could choose to turn pro, then you're pro, right?
Wow.
And I don't remember if we actually did it or not. I have to ask Travis. Travis would probably know. But like, I remember, like, we were a dye sponsored team. You know what I mean? Like, we got barrels. You know what I mean? We didn't get cash or anything like that, but we got barrels, right? And so I just remember
those barrels were so valuable at that time.
Oh, dude, they were like $189, something like that. And they shot great. You know what I mean? And but I remember, like, the men kind of like being like, you guys know if you turn pro, you're gonna knock us out, right? And us being like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
I mean, and so I don't think that we did it, but ultimately the next year, we had won as professionals. Like, we beat Shock, we beat Extreme, and I think we staled Avalanche, and we won. But
That's insane.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember this. You guys maybe a little too young, but so we played Shock first, I think. We beat them, and then we staled Avalanche, and then we had to play Team Extreme, so team out of Atlanta. You know what I mean? And I don't think, like, Lane Wright was still on that squad, but I think, like, Rob Stodinger was, and some other, like, local boys. So we beat Extreme, and we're stoked. Like, I remember Bruno coming over to me and being like, "Congrats, man! You guys owned it. You guys earned it." And it was like our first professional event. You know what I mean? And so we're like, "Holy shit! We just shocked the world." You know what I mean? And then Joe Fortin, of the captain of Team Extreme, came off, and granted, mind you, the All Americans are reffing. And went up to Billy Gardner and said that him and Caesar had contrived to throw the game to give it to us. Which, I mean, in my opinion, absolute bullshit. Like, I had no idea. Like, I was fighting my ass off. Like, I was the only one, like, on the left side. Like, ended up closing the game, with, I think, Travis on the other side. And I'm shooting fools, like, from a mile away. Like, I was playing my ass off, right? I mean, at no point in time did I ever feel like they were throwing the goddamn game. And so, they're like, what? And then, of course, like, Rennick gets word of this, and he goes ballistic. You know what I mean? And like, I'm like, Caesar, I'm like, did you really do this? And I don't know if Caesar did or not. You know what I mean? And it's water on the bridge, like, whatever. And but they hit us with like 100-point penalty, right? And so
what?
It knocked us down to third, yeah. And then Shock won. No. And then Shock won the goddamn tournament, yeah. But I mean, Rennick was, it was a good old boys club back then, man. You know what I mean? It's like,
what are you talking about back then?
Yeah. I mean, it was like, it was Rennick, and it was Adam and Billy, and it was Dave, and it was Jerry. I mean, so it was like everybody. It was like, everybody had pull, and but yeah, I mean, Rennick heard that, and he went nuts. He went right to Billy Gardner. He's like, "You got to penalize him," and they didn't even think twice, dude. They're like, who's Fusion? You know what I mean? They're like, they're hit him with 100-point penalty. So knocked us down to third. And it was devastating, dude. Like, it was absolutely devastating. And so after
So,
that,
hold on. They think that the other team throws the game, and they dock you guys the points.
yeah.
What happened to Extreme?
They got fourth, so they got hit with a penalty too.
Okay, yeah.
But so it put Shock into first, Avalanche into second, us into third, and Extreme into fourth.
In all honesty, today, like, do you feel like maybe some of the older guys on your team had done that, or are you still like?
I do think that there was. I mean, I don't lie to you. I won't lie to you guys. I don't have no reason to. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I do think that there was probably a conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
that's how those things went back then.
Yeah,
man. It really is.
And you know, I do think that there was more than one person involved in that conversation. You know what I mean? And that I'll leave nameless. But you know, what I can tell you is like I know that Travis and myself had no concept, dude. You know what I mean? And like you know, it's like. If here's what I would do. Like if I've never thrown a paintball game in my life, you know what I mean?
This is interesting, Marcelo. Do you know why this is interesting for me? Do you remember?
I know exactly why it's interesting. LB knows about what happened.
Oh my god!
And so, like, if someone came up to me, or if like I was captain of Infamous for a long time, but if my captain came up to me and was like, "Hey, you're gonna throw this game," I'd be like, the fuck I am, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
You know, and so like, like you just know if somebody is doing that, like you just, the shots are easier, you know what I mean? And, you know, and so my point is that not everybody on Extreme was throwing that damn game. Put it that way.
Right.
Not the people on my side of the field. I can promise you that. Like I was, you know, they shot all my homeboys that were around me. You know what I mean? So there may have been one or two folks over there throwing that game, but not the guys I was fighting. But so yeah, I mean,
sounds like a valid win to me. Sounds like a valid win.
Yeah. I mean, I was, and like we hung with like, I mean, games were 25 minutes back then, like, or 30, I don't even remember, but like we hung with like 40 seconds left, right? So like,
Jesus.
Either they're the best actors in the world, and you know they took it to the wire, and you know we barely hung. You know, and I'm like, come on, man.
Damn.
But so
the big thing is that you guys did that though. That's dope. What you guys did there. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's our first tournament pro, right? You know, and you know we beat the brakes off of everybody. I mean, the only team we didn't beat was Avalanche. You know what I mean? And so. After that tournament, you know, I think that was 96. That was MPPL Pittsburgh 96. And, you know, we were pissed. We were pissed at Caesar, you know what I mean? And, like, you know, there was basically a coup, you know what I mean? And Travis and I, and a couple of the guys were like, look, we gotta move on. And, you know, we created a team called Revolution. You know, we were mainly all the same guys with the exception of Caesar, you know what I mean? We just, we didn't bring him along. We may have picked up a couple dudes here and there, but we created Revolution and remained professional. And then, you know, we ended up winning Chicago in 97. That was our first professional win in 97 at Badlands. You know, and then, you know, fielding a team and getting things paid for was tough. You know what I mean? It's tough to do now. You know what I mean? It was very difficult to do back then. And, you know, so we, you know, like there was, you know, the big teams from Image and the All-Americans and, you know, and Shock and, you know, those guys, like I idolize those guys, you know what I mean? And, you know, and then you kind of are becoming their peers, you know what I mean? And so like that was cool. And then, you know, it's, you know, you're on a shoestring budget, you know, and you're making ends meet any way you can. And then, you know, and this year is the All-American saying, "Hey, come play with us." And this year's Image saying, "Hey, why don't you come over here? You want to get some free stuff? You want to not pay for anything ever again? You know, you want to, fly to practice paintball." And I was, and you know, and we knew that we were essentially out of money, and we couldn't. There's no way we could field an entire season the following year in '98. And so, after Revolution's short lifespan, Travis and I went to Image and played an Image for, you know, 2-3 years and won a couple of them. Won, I don't know, 3-4 events.
Hey, LB,
Yeah.
Before we dive into image,
Sure.
I just
Yeah.
want to say how phenomenal that is that you stuck with your crew to pro and did well.
Yeah.
That is huge. Not very many organizations can say that. Even up to this day, I mean, in history of paintball, there's only been these little pockets, but you guys did that, and I think that's pretty astounding. What's some advice that you could like give to people out there to help them do that similar thing and take that path? Because that is a very hard path to travel, to take a core group of guys and go pro, and then, like you said, to be
Yeah.
hard.
successful. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, brother. It wasn't easy, man.
Yeah.
There was a lot of times when it would have been a lot easier to just jump ship and go play with the big boys. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
there was again a handful of players that were being heavily recruited, and ultimately we went. But to answer your question, or like what I think kind of takes is, you got to have this. You got to be on the same sheet of music. You know what I mean? You have to have the same belief, and you gotta be a little bit pissed. You know what I mean? You gotta be tough in the trenches, and you gotta believe in the guys that you're going to battle with and going to war with. Are going to be there for you, and in constant communication and transparency. You know what I mean? Like there's I feel like you can be constructively critical, you know what I mean? And I think that we stayed together and stuck we had our same group of 5, 6 guys, 7 guys, and we were dead honest with each other. I'm like, there'd be conversation.
Brutally honest.
I'm like, dude, you suck, man. Like you were hurting this team, you know what I mean? And it's a humbling awakening, you know what I mean? And so, I think transparency is a big part of that. I think that everybody, again, has got to be fully committed, man. Like you couldn't half-ass it, because we were on a shoestring budget, and, we knew we could compete. You know what I mean? Like we went from fearing these guys to like, these guys ain't shit. You know what I mean? Like, and so having that belief and just, continuing to constantly improve and pick your buddies up and bring everyone along. It's tough to do. It's very, very easy to get pulled in a different direction. And so yeah, I mean, I look at like you guys, you know what I mean? And, Dynasty's had a pretty solid network and core of dudes, and I think that's what, if you look at every winning team, you know what I mean, whether it's paintball, basketball, football, baseball, soccer, like there's always a solid foundation, you know what I mean? There's that foundation that, people are going to come and go, right? But the engine it remains the same. I mean, you can change the body of the car, but what makes it go is
that click.
Yeah. So
you're right, dude.
But it's tough to do. To your point, it's tough to do. I mean, it's easy to kind of piece out.
Because, a lot of the time when you start shooting the bullet straight right at people and shooting it how it's supposed to be shot, so that they know what they have to do, it's kind of crippling. You have to be ready for that kind of energy, because it's fight or flight. You're either going to do the changes or we're going to suck. It's like, which way are we going? Are we going to be great, or are we going to go the other way?
Yeah, and we had to win, or we had to place. We had to finish on the podium, because we needed, whether it was the cash or we needed the product, so we could flip it. You know what I mean, and make it to the next event. So it's like, we don't finish on the podium, like we're coming out of our pocket. You know what I mean? Obviously,
That's a reality. That's a reality for paintball. Is that if you're an up and coming team, divisional team that goes semi-pro and then eventually pro, if you're doing well, if you're not heavily funded, it's going to be really hard to keep that team together, because the reality is a lot of these pro teams that have done that, some of the players are still paying for part of their events, part of their flights, maybe all of their events and all of their flights, right? So why wouldn't they take an offer? If you get good enough to where you're showing up and, like Tyler says, you're shooting straight paintballs at the other team and you're putting people on notice, and you are worth it, and another team makes you an offer, it's hard to go from paying to do something you love, or it's easy to go from paying you do something you love to getting paid to do something you love and have devoted so much time and energy to, right? So it's really hard for teams that don't have the funding to stick together nowadays, and it's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
I know, we love seeing the story of teams that rise through the ranks and go pro together and stay together. That's it's the underdog story, right? Everybody loves that story, but it's just really difficult with the funding issues that these paintball teams actually have.
Yeah.
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 And like that's a great segue to like what ultimately happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Tommy Malashevsky and Richie were chirping in my ear saying, come on, bro. And then Lane was putting on a full court press, and like I was torn, man. Like I didn't want to leave my dudes. You know what I mean? And it's like those are my guys. You know what I mean? Those are the guys that blood, sweat, and tears with, and so we're at World Cup, and we do well. I think we finished like 5th or something like that. And I got like Frank with the All Americans like in my ear saying, "You gotta come." Frank's saying, he's like, "You gotta come play for us. You gotta come play for us." And they, it was both Travis and I, and the image was Travis and I. You know what I mean? And so Travis and I kind of talked. I'm like, "Shit, dude. Like, what are we gonna do?" You know what I mean? And ultimately, with all due respect to the All Americans, like they weren't our style. You know what I mean? It just wasn't our MO, And so we went to Image, and it was that Image was probably one of my favorite paintball teams I ever played on, just because like
iconic.
Iconic, yeah.
We were either going to win in about 2 minutes or we were going to lose in about 2 minutes. And there wasn't a whole lot in between, we had some bad dudes on that team, man. Obviously with the Mamas and Lane and LD and, myself and Travis and, eventually Posey came over. We won, I think Avalanche won the first event and the second event, and then we won the third and the fourth, and then World Cup, we just fell on our face. But that's the push video.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, and then Image was was fun, man, and like the and like that was just like that was totally like reckless, you know what I mean? Like it was from an organizational standpoint, like not really. Like I mean, Richie and Opie kind of like were running the show. Tommy was sort of behind the scenes, and but I mean, just we made it work, you know what I mean? Like Maryland Paintball was the shop, and they had a field, and we would practice out there, and they made it work, and it was fun. It's fun as hell, man.
And I feel like you guys had like the best, like no diss at anybody. Y'all had the best style. Like the Image style was looking fly out there playing paintball with the big logo on the chest and the dark style with everything. It looked good. The Image style.
Yeah, I remember. And like we were loose cannons, you know what I mean? I remember being in Pittsburgh at the MPPL. I don't know if it was like 99 or 98 or something like, I don't know. We were playing like the mound, I don't even know if they're still there, but the Mounds field that like, not the Star field. Yeah, that's the Star Mounds field. There's a Woods field right next to it. And so we're back there, and we're like 3, 2, 1, go. And like the Michigan boys, like myself, Travis, like, and a couple of dudes went one way, and then like Lane and LD and Paul Heads went another direction. And, and it was like, who can get there fastest, you know what I mean? So we can talk shit to one another. Right. And so like, we happen to break through, and, we turn the corner, and we pull the flag, and like, then we're coming back at like Lane and those guys. Like, and then like, I remember getting back to to your little staging area wherever we were hanging out, you know what I mean? And it was like just this weird sense and this weird feeling. And like, and I think Lane said something, and then I was like, well, you need to open your goddamn ears. Like, we blew that tape wide open. And then like, I remember like Lane's unscrewing his barrel, and he's like going to hit me over the head with it. Not really, but he's like, he didn't like that comment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's who we were. And,
shout out to Lane. Lane Wright.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. No,
Wow.
And Lane and I actually, became incredible friends after that. And still to this day are extremely tight. That's
the best part about paintball right there. I mean, you can't tell me that you still don't have 30 or 40 brothers and sisters from around the world that you could call on at the drop of a dime, and they'll be there for you, and that's a really special thing that paintball provides.
No, that's a great point, dude. I mean, that camaraderie that goes around with paintball or go along with paintball, I do think that it's unique. You know what I mean? Because we're all sort of fighting the same fight. You know, from when we can, when we can barely walk and crawl to now. You know what I mean? The vision remains the same.
For sure.
And that I think that's a common bond that we all share and will continue to share. And yeah, I mean, I talk to Darren Lane like all the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like via Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And then he's in London, you know what I mean? And I met him 20 years ago,
Yeah. And
so
I think that's something that society needs more now than ever, is that actual connectivity. All we have is this digital connectivity, but when you step out there on a paintball field and you get to really go put your skin on the line, literally, and you go and play paintball with each other, it is an experience that can't be matched by anything else on this planet. I mean, it's just a timeless experience. And I think that, like I said, society needs the paintball experience more than ever right now, for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean we got to continue to maintain connection and continue to grow the sport. You know what I mean? It's that's simple math. You know what I mean? You need participation levels to be up, and
For sure.
That's
And
I
the
feel
kids
like
love it. The kids love it.
Oh no, I know. I'll see you guys this weekend out at the combine, but I'll bring my boy out there to just screw around, and you know what I mean. So, but
oh, he shot my
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. No, he's ready to shoot it again this weekend. So
Sounds good.
It's all he's been talking about all week.
Perfect.
It's only Wednesday. That. Yeah, it's only Wednesday. I told him he just came in here a minute ago. I told him, I was like, I'm going to get on with Tyler Marcello. They're the guys that you saw at the field that one time. And he's like, right. He's like, yeah, that like I remember Tyler's gun. I shot that. Yeah. And he's like, do you think he's going to bring that one? And I was like, yeah, he'll have a whip there. Now, I don't know if it's that exact one, but he'll have one there for you or Marcello. Somebody will have a gun there.
Yeah, we got you, dude. All day.
So we're looking forward to seeing you boys this weekend. But
hell yeah.
But yeah, so Image, we won some events. Tommy kind of retired. Richie didn't know what he was doing, and and we started to kind of lose players, and we were kind of running out of steam. And Travis had went to Avalanche a year prior to me getting there, and I've been talking to Chris quite a bit, and Chris is like, you got to come over, you know what I mean? And Travis obviously is, was my closest friend and is still one of my closest friends in the world. He's like, yo, dude, he's like, we got some fly shit over here, bro. Like everything you can imagine from JT, like the WDP, Warp Sports, like just the baddest gear that was cool. It's still cool. Like even like as much gear as we've all gotten and still continue to get, it's just still cool. You know what I mean?
That gear. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And also too, like Avalanche was Avalanche, you know what I mean? Like they were messing fools up, and so I went over there.
What an honor, man. Holy shit.
Avalanche was dynasty before dynasty,
right,
Avalanche again, they're the cool kids on the block that just came through and wrecked shop, won a bunch of tournaments, had a good time doing it, and just were, in all the magazines.
Yeah, no. And I mean, dude, that was dude, talk about an experience, man. Like that's when I really got to see the world. You know what I mean? We'd been overseas a few times with Image, and even Revolution, for that matter. But we played every event in the Millennium Series. I can't even remember what it was called back then, but it was 7-man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're just, I was like in college, and I think, I was definitely in college, and even after college, like you're just gone. I mean, you guys know it. I was just gone for a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? Just like peace. You know what I mean? You fly in early to see the country. You play a tournament. You stay a few days after to see the country, and you're just ripping it the entire time. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But Avalanche. Avalanche was.
That sounds like the best college years ever.
It was. I mean, it was torn. You know what I mean? Because college is fun. You know what I mean? I went to Michigan State. It's a fun school. Trust me.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as fun as paintball. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
I just
yeah.
remember like I would be gone almost every weekend, and my roommates would be like, "Bro, like when are you going to be here for a weekend?" And I'm like, I don't know, like November. You know what I mean? Like November and a little bit of December, and then we'll start back up in January. But yeah, like and so like, I just I would miss a lot of the fun times at school or in
For
college.
sure.
But nothing could come close to being with your boys and traveling and playing paintball and winning and all that. That made
So
it all worth it.
you got your degree as well. Kind of talk about that a little bit. What did you?
Yeah. So I went to Michigan State, and I originally what I wanted to get into federal law enforcement, right? And so I graduated with a criminal justice degree, and I started really investigating into federal law enforcement, and I was like, I can't play paintball if I'm going to pursue this. You know what I mean? And I knew that, I was coming into the peak of my career.
You break too many laws on the road.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I hope there's not a background check, because if there is, I'd be lucky to work the security guard at the mall. You know? And so, and then I started looking into like the requirements and obviously like compensation and whatnot, and I was like, God, I can't give up paintball. You know what I mean? I can't. So like I graduated and I became like a local or a permanent building substitute teacher for this junior high by my house. Right. And so I just go to the school every day and, one day teach, algebra, the next day teach English, the next day teach history, the next day be a gym teacher, so that was cool. You know what I mean? And then I'd be working at the paintball store like at night, just to gain some extra cash because I was still traveling. I couldn't have like a 9 to 5, you know what I mean? It's next to impossible to do that with what we did, what you guys do. You know what I mean? And so, at that time, War Game Products, was getting, so they were distributed by National Paintball Supply, which ultimately became Key Action Sports with PMI. You guys remember? So War Game used to be distributed by National, and Bud decided that he wanted to go direct to the end user and distribute his own stuff, right? And so I knew that we wanted to get to California. I know that, because we were on Avalanche and John wanted to get to California. He was in Washington. Travis was out there working for JT. I wanted to get out there. Rab at the time was going to get out there. Rusty was already out there. I don't think we had Rusty at that point in time yet. No, we did because Rusty and I started War Games together. And so myself, Rusty, and John took jobs at War Games. John ran the warehouse and Rusty and I were the inside sales dudes banging phones, right? And and so it was like we worked for War Games, but we shoot angels. You know what I mean? And people knew who we were at the time, and that drove War Game Products crazy. They're like, can you guys just shoot autocockers? I was like, bro, I ain't shooting autococker out there against these goddamn LCD angels. I'm getting my head blown off. No. With all due respect, I love the autococker. I grew up on the autococker, right? But it's like, not that homeboy over there's got a lightsaber. Like I'm walking in with a wooden stick, So, Rusty and I and John worked at War Games, and that was, we all got a house in Anaheim together. It's me and Rusty, John. I think Shane Harrison. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He played with like Check It. He played with Rusty like in the early days. But yeah, we would just, we all lived in the same house, and
that's a paintball dream right there.
All we did is talk about paintball. We just wake up, go to paintball work, come home. We go, on like I think Tuesdays and Thursdays we go play indoor somewhere. And then like there was an outdoor that was like in a hockey rink. I can't. You guys probably know the name of it, but and then Saturday, Sunday we just play both days.
Real quick. That's an important thing. And we were talking about the camaraderie in paintball and how there's like you build these relationships, and I really think a lot of it has to do with the type of sacrifice that everybody knows in order to get anywhere in paintball. That's the equity you've already built up. Like there's sacrifice that's associated with that. If you look at any other sport, maybe I'm wrong, but you don't see like a group of football players trying to make a name for themselves that all like get a big house together and live together and do everything together and are constantly talking about football or, basketball. But that's like a common thing with paintball. Like, get the paintball house with all your buddies. You're playing paintball every weekend. You work at the paintball shop. Like, 24/7 is paintball,
Yeah.
and like, there's just something that makes, once you really fall in love with the game, you just start obsessing over it. And I don't know. I don't see that in other sports. I know that these athletes obsess over their sport for sure, but I don't know, not to the level, like the grassroots level that I feel paintball players have and do,
Yeah.
And again, maybe I'm wrong, but these kind of stories that just, you don't hear them in other sports. Like, I don't think Kevin Durant was living with Russell Westbrook and those dudes, like in college and obviously it's a little different, but I think part of that is just what makes paintball so unique, that everybody just buys in and wants to do everything paintball 24/7,
Yeah. No, that's a good point, March. I mean, I would absolutely agree with you. You know what I mean? You really don't see it. And I think that there's something to be said about it too. Like it'll help you on the field as well. You know what I mean? I mean, you the more like you understand someone's demeanor or their cadence or their mannerisms, what type of person they are. I mean, it ultimately will help you.
Totally.
It was just it was nonstop paintball. I mean, like we would, I remember we got an airball field like after an event, and we would take it to SC, set it up, take it down, take it to SC again, set it up, take it down, and then bring it home and lay it all out in the backyard, and hose that son of a bitch down, and roll it up, and put it in the ground. It was like Groundhog's Day, dude. Like, it was a whole process. Like, by the time it was done, it was time to go again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
I remember Rusty telling us about that when he was on the show. Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, it was like Rusty and I doing everything. Like, John was like inside sleeping. Like, Shane was nowhere to be found. Of course, the rest of the guys didn't live with us, and it's just like Rusty and I just working our asses off in the back and just MFing everybody on the team, and
building up that grit equity.
Right, exactly. Yeah, amen to that, brother. Amen to that. But so like, we ripped it for a while, on Avalanche, and then the event happens, the World Cup, right? Then the God, I don't even know how to describe it, but
they just did a documentary series on it about Jeremy Salm.
Trust me, I'm well aware of it. Yeah.
Did they really? They did a documentary on this?
Yeah, it was. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. I forgot the name of who's doing the documentary, but they just released it about Jeremy Salm, and he gave all the details. And I haven't seen it yet, but it looks pretty interesting. Yeah,
Trav sent me, John, and Chris a clip of it. The net that I haven't watched it either. I don't really intend to, but
I'll tell you what, you guys are going to get the facts right here, right now on this show.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we're in World Cup, and like, I was talking to John about this last night, and like we're winning, you know what I mean? Like, and I think we were like 4-1 or something like that. I don't even remember. And I think we played 6 games back then in the prelims.
And LB, this was my first World Cup, the one that I told you about that I flew out to. Yeah. This was it.
Oh, nice. Okay. It was a doozy. Yeah. And so, we're playing GZ Gold, and, it wasn't like, I don't want to say it was an easy game, you know what I mean? But, with all due respect to GZ Gold and the whole Ground Zero camp, like GZ Gold was their second team for Ground Zero, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think they were amateur at the time, and we were obviously professional, and we played them, and I can remember like yesterday, like we were like, I mean, I was working, we were working to win the game, and and I remember, like, I think, we were closing, and I think that I did get shot. And I just remember being in the dead box and just seeing, I think it was Pete, like, take off of the field and run into the woods. I was like, what's that motherfucker doing? And so next thing you know, like, it obviously it comes out that Jeremy was in the woods dressed in black and with, I think that he borrowed somebody's, like when the Matrix first came out.
Oh yeah.
Remember those big ass Matrixes?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
so they were quiet, even quieter than an
Very.
angel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to say he borrowed that from someone, and ultimately, like, Pete got him. He caught up to him and drove.
You're talking about Mr. U,
Yeah,
Pete
yeah,
Richmond, right?
yeah.
For all the
Yeah.
listeners.
Just
Yeah. So real quick, because I misspoke with Lasoya. I thought it was Nicky Cuba that ran in after him.
John and I talked last night, and it was Pete. You know what I mean? I don't know.
You're right.
Yeah, I think
confused.
Nicky may have been playing for like the professional Ground Zero at that time. I think.
You guys just heard screams coming from the forest, and you had to get in there.
Yeah, right. And obviously, like, we won, like, this is all happening, right? But there was still kind of like, we were still closing. You know what I mean? I don't know who closed for us, but
Yeah.
we closed and like we win the game, and I'm like, thank God. You know what I mean? Like, we win the game, and we're walking off. We get back to to our tent, which is at WDP. And like the Bee Gees and Maurice and his brother Barry had a big RV there. Like, it was dope. You know what I mean? And so I just remember
the same one. This is what Chris threw his phone at.
This is the one that Chris threw his phone at. Yeah. And I, dude, I don't think anything of it. Like, I didn't hear about it yet. I mean, like, as far as what it truly went down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just remember getting back to WDP, our tent. And I just remember Chris losing it, you know what I mean? And screaming and he threw his like flip phone back then, at the bus, and it's, shattered it. And basically it was like, we're done. And it's like, what do you mean we're done? The story unraveled, and Jeremy never came back to the staging area or to our tent. And we never saw him again the rest of the World Cup. You know what I mean? Like, he was just gone, like Gandhi, man. And of course, and speculation is going all over the place, and who knew and who didn't know, and what I'll say is this. I'll say that there were some people that did know, but I don't like. I consider Jeremy a close friend. Jeremy was a very close friend of mine. I don't like what Jeremy did. You know what I mean? I don't like the idea of why he think that he needed to do it. Especially that game. Again, with all due respect to Ground Zero Gold.
If it was against a better team, you would have been down.
Do it against Shock. You know what I mean? Do it again. Shock's going to cheat anyway. You know what I mean? Like, do it against Shock. You know what I mean?
Wait until you see one of their guys playing on, and then do it.
Yeah, like, shoot Bruno in the middle of the field, like, because he's probably already been shot once or twice. You know what I mean? So, like,
I love it. Bruno is the man. I love that guy so much.
Mikey is the man. But I'm like, I'm like, why Ground Zero Gold, man? Like, it didn't add up, and like, it made me, like, obviously it pissed a lot of people off on the team.
Yeah, of course.
Understandably, and
it also cost us the event. But I don't like the way Jeremy has handled himself as of late with this documentary. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know if Jeremy and I are just cut from a different cloth, but even if everybody knew, or if two people knew, right? Again, not condone it. It's the wrong move. It's an embarrassing moment for Avalanche, an embarrassing moment for us all. Absolutely wrong move, but. Why? I don't know. Was it 20 years later, 19 years later? Like why now? And why come out and he backed the bus up over Ed and Travis. You know what I mean? In that interview, right? I mean, he, like, cold-blooded, man. I'll give you that as a teaser. Feel free to check it out if you want on your own accord. But I don't like that, man. You know what I mean?
Does he at least own like what he did and speak in that regard, or is he kind of trying to deflect blame?
He does own it to some degree, but I think that what he said, or his statement, was basically, it could have been Travis pulling the trigger, you know what I mean, in the woods, you know, and so he took ownership of it, but he did sort of deflect and be like, well, I mean, Travis is just as guilty as I am, and Ed's just as guilty as I am, you know what I mean? Like that's the net of kind of what he said, and like again, man, right or wrong, it's not even right, it was wrong. But if you're going to live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword. You know what I mean? And you got to take ownership of it. And Jeremy could have kept his mouth shut. You know what I mean? And to me, it seems desperate. You know what I mean? It seems desperate to I don't know for what reason. I mean, it feels almost like a money grab to me. You know what I mean?
Like a walking zombie has just crawled up out of the grave and is just strolling around.
I mean, I don't see the point. You know what I mean? Obviously, it was wrong. It was bad for the sport. It was bad for Avalanche. Ultimately, led to us, breaking up and forming Miami Effect. But
It could also be maybe it's something that he's kind of struggled with this whole time, because honestly, that's people still to this day talk about it, and it's hard to take Jeremy serious because you know what he did, and people kind of disregard him simply because of that event.
Yeah.
So maybe it was partially that, but if that's the case, then come on and just own it yourself, and don't try to deflect.
Yeah, I mean,
that's strange.
I hear you. I mean, you bring up a good point, Marcelo. But again, like. The way I look at it, man, it's like take ownership of it, which Jeremy did for 20 years, you know what I mean? And Jeremy took it like a man and took it on the chin and took it in the teeth, you know what I mean? Like and Jeremy's a mentally strong dude. I mean, and Jeremy's a smart guy, you know what I mean? Jeremy's not a dummy, he's a very smart guy. So I don't know.
We're gonna have to get him on, dude. I honestly, I've never had a conversation with Jeremy.
No, you should try it. You should try it. It's entertaining.
I'm curious. All the stuff that I've heard, and I've never actually really spoken with him. So it would be interesting to have him on the show and talk to him.
Yeah, I can make a phone call there too. I'll call Lone Wolf. I'll call Jeremy. Who else? Yeah, I'll call some people in there.
There you go. Our guy. I've had some fun conversations with Jeremy. He's a badass dude. Jeremy, and it's man, it's like, it's one of those.
You don't
things.
throw your boys under the bus, no matter what.
That
first and foremost. And like if you get caught in a sting or whatever it might be, like your mouth stays sealed, right? That's kind of rules and regs. So you don't make a documentary 20 years later about the.
That's like, I guess that's my thing, dude. Like when Travis sent that, I was like, damn, yo. I'm like you just don't do that to your boys, bro. Like, I mean, like I ain't no rat, man, and like, again, I mean, for whatever reason, Jeremy felt the need to do it, and I'm sure he was coaxed or convinced to do it for maybe other reasons. But like, I could just never imagine doing that. You know what I mean? I'm not taking the ship down with me. You know what I mean? Like, even if as tempting as it may be, but like, I mean, like, you know what, y'all, you took a risk, you got caught. It is what it is, and you got to own it.
Yeah,
people live to fight another day, but.
So what happened after? So this all happened at World Cup. What does the next year of paintball look like for Avalanche after this?
Well, hold on too. Also, let's talk about like the penalty. You guys were disqualified from the event from World Cup. This is it. This is a wrap, on Avalanche. And you guys were likely going to win the event. You guys were that team that was on top. Like the magnitude of this back when it happened was massive. It wasn't just someone like shooting out it wasn't just some little thing. The magnitude of this at the time was huge.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was, we're JT's flagship team. Avalanche was hot at the time. We would definitely, we would have finished on the podium, in my opinion. We obviously had the talent and we were playing well. You know what I mean? It's not like we were playing bad, and yeah, I mean, as soon as that shit happened, like we were just DQ'd from the event. We were done, and again, like I said, like I never saw Jeremy the rest of the event. Like I didn't see him. I didn't see Pete pull him out of the woods. You know what I mean? Because I was already back at the tent.
What happened in the woods? I got to know what happened in there.
So I talked about I talked about this with John last night, because I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm going on Tyler and Marcella's show. I'm like, I know they're going to want to talk about this. I said, you got to help me reframe this in my mind. And he's like, because he was tight with Pete, probably.
Did you guys see the Conor McGregor UFC fight with Perrier? I thought it was like maybe something like that.
Yeah. So again, like this, I didn't see it. Obviously, like the only person that saw it was Pete and Jeremy, right?
Yeah.
I like Pete. I don't think Pete's a bullshitter. I don't think Pete needs to inflate his ego at all. He's a genuine human being. You know what I mean? And so the story was that, and here's the other thing that John and I were talking about, like, so real quick before I get into this, and like again, Jeremy's a smart dude. Like, if you're gonna do it, right? If you're gonna like, shoot the dude in the middle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shoot the middle X in the side of the head, right? Like again, like shoot somebody in a lay down, and like there was no really snakes back then, but like shoot somebody in a lay down, you know what I mean? Don't shoot the guy in the back left corner in the back of the pack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the fields are 150 yards long. Like, you mean, like you barely, you could barely shoot your mirror. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you do happen to shoot your mirror, like it's the best shot of the world in the world. Jeremy shot the guy in the back left corner in the back of the pack. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, and then, so here's what I have heard kind of happen, eventually, like later, many years later. I think that, like, at some point, whoever was in that corner, like, called the ref over and it was like, there's no way I'm getting shot in the middle of my harness, when I'm standing behind this giant stand up, you know what I mean? And so from what I've heard is like the ref, I think, cleaned him off, you know what I mean? It's like, there's no way this is possible. Right.
Yeah.
And then Jeremy got pissed, you know what I mean? And then I think Jeremy like put a stream on him, you know what I mean? As opposed to like one ball, you know what I mean? And I don't know how accurate that is, but so that happens, that goes on. And then ultimately Pete takes off into the woods. Right. And so, like I said, Jeremy was in, from what I'm told, like in like all black clothing, like obviously no Avalanche logos or paraphernalia, like not even our gun, he borrowed a gun from whomever. And
was it a dark, like, foresty area, or was it black?
It was dark. It was like, palms and like I don't know what, like firs and whatnot. It was dark, you know what I mean? It was like almost like swampy to some degree, you know what I mean?
So he had the right outfit on, at least.
He had the right outfit on, and and there was good cover. Like it'd be a hell of a field to play paintball in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that'd be pretty gnarly.
He was.
He was playing his own game. Yeah. And so so Pete takes off and into the woods after Jeremy. Pete's a big dude. You know what I mean? And he's a scrapper. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he chased Jeremy down, and Jeremy, I know, like for many years later, and talking with Jeremy, Jeremy was extremely. He was like it was so hot because I think that he was almost like kind of in like a ghillie suit, you know what I mean, but made out of t-shirts, you know what I mean. And I just remember, like John and I were talking about last night, I remember Jeremy talking about how bad the mosquitoes were. He's like, the mosquitoes were eating me alive, you know what I mean. And so like he was over it, you know what I mean? And so, Pete bails and into the forest like a bat out of hell and chases down Jeremy. And from what Pete has said, and I don't want to speak for Pete, but this story is pretty consistent with everybody I speak to. Like Pete basically gave him an option. Like, you keep running, I'm gonna bounce your head off a log. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or you can throw your hands up. You know what I mean? And I think smartly that's what Jeremy did. You know what I mean? Jeremy didn't try to run and evade him. And Pete basically is like, all right, like come with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Pete's fast too, dude. That guy.
Yeah. No, he's fast, and Pete's a strong dude, and I think Jeremy knew that he was in over his head, and it was. There was no getting out of it, and I'm like, damn, I'd still be running, you know what I mean? Like, you ain't catching me, motherfucker. I'm not, this is not happening. You know what I mean? I'm like, and that's what I was talking last night with Richardson. I was like, why did Jeremy just give up so easily? You know what I mean? And I think that it was like, one, he was extremely overheated because he's in like a ghillie suit.
And the mosquitoes.
I remember him bitching about the mosquitoes because like he didn't want to move, you know what I mean, to be noticed. And like he's like there's getting stung everywhere. I can only imagine it, dude. It's Florida. You know what I mean? Florida swamps, like the mosquitoes will pick you up and carry you away.
They're like birds.
Yeah, right. And so, and then we never saw Jeremy again. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously much later in like the next year, but I never like we had 2 houses that we were living in, you know what I mean? Like just like World Cup houses like you do, right?
Yeah.
And Chris and Jeremy were extremely tight. Like they were homeboys on the team. Me, John, and Travis were homeboys on the team. Like you have your like you two. You know what I mean? You guys are the thick as thieves, right? Yeah. And Chris and Jeremy were tight. And
did they rave together? Were they ravers?
They did. Did they ever? Did they ever, brother? Holy smokes, bro! There was a lot of good rave dancing between those two.
I love that. Yeah.
No. And so like Chris basically, he was the only one talking to Jeremy, and Chris is like, dude, you got to get your shit and you got to get out of the house. You know what I mean? You got to go to a hotel. You got to do something. But there's a bunch of angry people coming back home right now, and you probably don't want to be around. And so we never saw Jeremy, you know what I mean? The rest of the event. And, of course we were done. And, that next year was when like the NXL formed, you know what I mean?
Right.
NXL and Super 7, right? And so, we're myself, John, Rusty, and Trevor in California. We're like, what are we going to do, man? And then like the NXL was sort of formed, and Rich Man and Dick Clark and Penny Marshall at the time were supposed to have this like huge influx of cash that they were going to dump into the NXL. And you remember it too, like
I remember seeing Dick Clark at the tournaments, and I was like, my dad was like, you know who that is? I'm like, I have no clue who that is. It's awesome though.
And so then Miami Effect is formed, and like I remember we were at Mark Knopf's house, and John and I and Rusty and Mark Knopf were kind of sitting there, and Mark played on Avalanche with us at the time, and Mark was sort of getting, later on in his career, and we didn't think that he was going to play, anymore. And I think that he ultimately stuck around for a little bit. But then the Super 7 was formed as well, and it's like, and at the time, you guys remember, like you couldn't play both. Like, I mean, at least the NXL wouldn't let us play the NPPL, or the NPPL wouldn't let us play. I can't remember exactly what it was.
If you were franchised in the NXL as one of the NXL teams, you cannot play in 7.
Yeah. And so, we were Miami Effect, and we formed that. We had, it was myself, Travis, John, Rusty, Davey came over. I don't know if Davey was there in the beginning, but Davey was there. Adam Johnson, Chris. I'm probably spacing some folks, but so we formed Miami Effect. It was cool. I mean, I love the obviously, as do you guys. Like, I love the concept of X-Ball, you know what I mean, or the NXL or Race 2 or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? I love the concept of it because it separated. What it exposed was how important athleticism is to paintball. You know what I mean? Granted, like you ran and shot and 10-man to the corner, but not like you do over and over and over and over again to every single spot on the X-ball field, or X-ball field.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed like the athleticism of it, and how it was, it was a match versus like, again, like you lose 2-3 guys off the break in a 10-man, and you're done. You know what I mean? 2-3 guys, like you lose guys off the break in X-ball, like you lose that point, you dust yourself off, you go back out there and play again. And so and you really like you had to sharpen the blade. Like there was like you could get exposed very fast. Like you can't shoot left-handed and right-handed. You're going to get exposed in X-ball. You know what I mean? You sort of hide that in 7-man. You can definitely hide it in 10-man. You know what I mean? But there's no hiding that in X-ball. And so, but we, and then like we would play. Like it was for nothing. Like there wasn't a winner, there wasn't a loser. Like our first event was at Mardi Gras of all places. Like bad place to send Avalanche X Miami Effect, or Miami X Avalanche, and then tell us that like there's no winner or loser. Like it's just, this is an exhibition match. Like you're just gonna go play 4 games and then you go home. We're like,
okay, see ya.
yeah. And I'm like, well, let's just get to Bourbon Street. Let us know when we have to come back and play.
That was my first pro tournament ever, running around in that swamp, dude.
Dude.
I was 4 foot tall. You know, I was a 14-year-old kid, and the water was literally coming up to almost my waist when I was running up to the X. The bunkers were floating away. It was crazy.
It was such a miserable event, dude. Like it was just so, like they hyped it up to be like, you know, we're gonna get paid and we're gonna be on TV and Dick Clark's gonna do this and like, yeah, it's like okay. Like we get there, there's like one tent. Like I think there's a guy walking around with a disposable camera, and it's pouring down rain. Like the weather sucks. You know, there's no winner, there's no loser. Like, the guns at the time, dude, like totally uncapped, just ramping. Like Bobby's guns, like I mean, you just do 25 balls a second. Like I mean, you get shot 15 times. You know, and so.
Yeah, I know. I was feeling the pain of those guns when I was just a little guy. That shit was crazy.
Oh yeah, dude. And so, you know, obviously like we did a season of NXL, and then we're like, this is bullshit, man. Like we want to go play in the NPPL. Like, you know, because we were, I mean, like both division, both leagues had, you know, good players in it. You know, we felt like, you know, like Dynasty, with all due respect, most winningest team in the world, but like we felt like Dynasty's over there playing the Naughty Dogs. You know, we're over here playing the best of the best. You know what I mean? Again, all due respect to the Naughty Dogs, but like, you know, I think Dynasty won every event or like every other event, and you know, we're like,
well, be careful, dude. Ryan takes those wins very seriously. Right? Those are counted. Those are big ones.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. He's coming out this weekend too, isn't he?
Yeah, for sure. We're road tripping. We leave tomorrow.
No,
yeah,
nice,
we'll be in.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
me,
by the time you all hear this, they'll be driving in the car out to Arizona.
Nice. Yeah, and so it's like we're like, this is bullshit, man. Like, you know, one, they're winning money. You know what I mean? We weren't winning anything.
That's right.
There was no winner or loser, right? We're like, this is stupid. And we're like F this, man. Like we're gonna go. We're going to the NPPL. Like they can't stop us. You know what I mean? Even if we lose our franchise, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah.
And Gino, Gino Plesrivo of National Paintball Supply. God bless him. I mean, without him, you know, and his financial commitment and support, and product support, like Miami Effect would have never existed. Infamous would have never existed.
Right.
You know, his support alone is you know the reason there wasn't Infamous in Miami Effect. But you know, so you know, then we were like, we have another coup, and then we're like, we're gonna form Infamous, and so we form Infamous, and like, you know, we the first event we entered at the NPPL or Super 7, whatever it was called, was Tampa. You know, we played Dynasty in the finals, best out of 3. We beat them. The next event was Denver. I don't think that we played them in the finals or you guys in the finals in Denver, but you know, we won that event, and it's like, you know, we're here to stay. You know what I mean? This is what we've been saying, you know, because obviously there's a ton of shit talking back and forth between the teams and the leagues. You know what I mean? Like, no, we have the best players. No, they have the best players. And we're like, well, like, there's only one way to find out. You know what I mean? And then I feel like, you know, we kind of helped everybody. You know what I mean? In a way, and I'm not looking for an accolade or a pat on the back, but like it freed up the NXL to come play in the NPPL. You know what I mean? Because the NXL knew, like the franchise owners knew, like, we can't hold on to these guys much longer. You know what I mean? Either this league is going to dissolve because the NPPL, you know, and WDP and Bart and that whole crew and Owen, you know, they were putting on lavish events, dude. Like HB was the bad out. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Unreal.
We're playing in a cow pasture in a swamp. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. And so, you know, I feel like our move sort of like broke the chains for the NXL players and teams to be able to play both leagues and showcase talent. You know what I mean? And then it got real competitive. You know what I mean? And
that's what our boy Soy was talking about. Soy was letting us know, dude.
Yeah, no, for real, dude. I mean, like he's not wrong. I mean, he's absolutely right, and that that needed to happen for paintball. It needed to happen for tournament professional paintball, because you can't, like, there two professional leagues don't work in this sport. It just doesn't. I mean, you can have millenniums in Europe, and you can have our deal here, but you can't have competing leagues. Like, it's cannibalizing the professional game,
Right.
And so finally they sort of figured that out, and then, 7-man dissolved, and X-Ball was, or NXL or whatever it's called, was born, and and sort of remains true today.
It's crazy what pro paintball has been through to be at the moment that it's at right now. All the different dissolving companies and the transitions of styles, and we're here with one league, no more 7-man, it's just 5-man, and this is where we're at.
I wish there were still 2 leagues. I wish we did still have 7-man. I think the 2 leagues, it's funny. I used to look at it as they kind of take away from each other, but now I think I look at it a little more as more is better. It forces the other league to do better.
Yeah.
And I like the different formats as well.
I mean, I absolutely agree with you. Like, there is a big part of me, obviously, like, I came from 10-man, you know what I mean? So, like, I enjoyed 7-man. I think 7-man, like, in the grand scheme of things, I think 7-man is funner. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit more strategic. You have much more runway to deal with. But to your point, March, I think that you could have 2 formats, just make it the same, owned by the same person, and then it'd be the same league. If it's going to be X-Ball or whatever the hell it's called, I mean, just have it be, under the same umbrella. So, from a marketing standpoint, you can promote the same way. From a rules and regulations, it's being monitored by the same governing body, like whatever you want to call it. But you don't want to cannibalize each other or cannibalize. Like, you totally could have 7-man format. I mean, I think if they wanted to, they could do it tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Dude, you might have just opened a can of worms where the NXL is going to come out with 7-man and have a whole series of 7-man tournaments too. Who knows? Why not?
The NXL, they do a pretty good job they offer the 10-man, they offer 3-man, they offer all sorts of different events that are, they coincide with the main events that we already participate in.
I'm talking about a separate one, like if they did a whole other,
I know. I guess still, like, I like it being under another umbrella, just because it makes it forces
you like the competing
to do their best. Yeah, it does. It forces these leagues to, like, really offer the best product, And if you don't have any competition, you own a monopoly. And
that's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Yeah, and I understand, like, other sports, the NFL is the only thing, the NBA, but I don't like comparing us to those sports, because we're not. We're a niche sport. We're an extreme sport. We're much different than these mainstream sports.
Yep.
So that's just my 2 cents. But
no, it's a great perspective. You know what I mean? I mean, there is something to say about that. What I'm taking away from that is that with 2 competing leagues, the beauty of competition in that regard is it's going to force you to become better. You know what I mean? Not necessarily as a player, but like as a venue promoter. You know what I mean? As a league, as what you're doing for the players, like, and how you're supporting the players and giving them the ability to play a game that they love. So I do appreciate that, and there's something to be said about that. So
for sure,
totally.
So what happened?
7-man. I just want to throw this out there. It's always been my favorite format.
Yeah,
it's so fun. You're right, and you said more runway to work with. I think you are referring to, like, the larger field sizes. Like, there's just making moves in a 7-man game is one of the best things about paintball. I love
and to kind of piggyback on that, like, I never really liked the idea of coaching in the NXL or X-Ball. Like, it wasn't my jam. You know what I mean? I feel like it took away a lot of artistic and creative moves. You know what I mean? And
totally.
It made bad teams better, you know what I mean? Or it made mediocre teams better, you know what I mean? And it's like, there's nothing worse than, like, you come down the highway and you make this incredible move, and some dude in the crowd goes, "It's coming," and you pop up and get smoked, and otherwise you're breaking the game wide open. So
that was the worst, when you'd be making a good move and you just hear everybody say, "He's coming."
I mean, like, that's like this. That just sucked, man. You know what I mean? So I enjoyed X-Ball, or I'm sorry, 7-man. Because you had those dynamic, game breaking moves that you win tournaments with. You know what I mean? And
totally.
So yeah, I mean, I have a big heart. I mean, 10-man, 7-man.
Yeah,
I think that's probably where my heart lies. But on the other hand, like I love the athleticism that X ball demands. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Well, we got to get you out to some 10-man tournaments.
Yeah,
You know?
I actually talked to Roy Richard yesterday too, and he was like, "Dude, you got to come out and play, man."
Yeah.
So we'll do that. We'll do that. I'm
We'll
definitely
roll together. We'll take the same flight. You know?
yeah. There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
right on,
Shout
bro.
out to the AZ crew. Let's go.
Right. We'll drag Rusty out there, and
Yep. Heck
uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Get Victor.
you guys know Vic. Yeah, you guys know Adam Johnson. You guys remember Adam Johnson, AJ?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's on his way to Arizona, at least from what he told me. So he's going to move out here with his
There you
family.
go.
And then I thought Rusty said, I don't know if it was he say Dick Dalton or like B Short or
Dalton,
something.
Vanderbilt.
Dalton.
Yeah.
Well, and Brandon, both of them might be moving out
Yeah,
there.
yeah. You got to come out, March. You got to get out of here, bud.
San Diego
You
boy.
know, look, every so often I toy with the idea of leaving California, and especially with our recent politics.
Yeah.
But then I take a 10-minute drive to the ocean.
Right. Yeah.
And I listen to the waves crash. Yesterday I was having a nice little lunch right there on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Waves crashing, sitting there eating my ahi pokey, and I realized this is why
life is good. Yeah, I think you were out here. I think it was in the dead of summer when you guys did that clinic or yeah. And I just remember you guys are starting at like 5:30 in the morning, and I just remember getting to the field and seeing you, and you're like, bro, like how do you do this? I'm like, dude, I have shorts and a t-shirt on. You're geared up. You mean like so?
I'll tell you what, makes for some good training for me, man.
No, I mean, watching you play that 1-on-1 tee, like, I mean, like you were like, you could have gone another 20 points. You were just like, let's go. And I forget the dude that you played, but I mean, homeboy was like dying. You know what I mean? Like he was like literally dying. And I'm like,
that's probably Keith Brown. He's in great shape as well. Like that dude is in great shape. One of the
he was chirping at me a little before we played too, talking about like how he was gonna outlast me too. So that kind of drove me a little crazy too.
Oh, dude! He's a good dude, but dude, you were like,
shout out to Keith. He is
running circles, man.
Yeah, and he's a specimen too. Like, dude is a beast. And don't get it twisted. Keith is one of the best players in the world. You get him on your team, he's getting eliminations, and he's going to be a beast out there. Every dog has his day. I got that one, and hopefully, we could do a rematch someday or whatever, But it's all love for paintball, and I'll tell you what, AZ got me right.
That training regimen of you coming out and bringing the boys in to turn games, man. Like I do think that there's something to be said about the 115 degree heat that allows you to up that conditioning and cardio a little bit.
Yeah, and then we even did a little Hell Week with Dynasty before we went to World Cup, and I feel like that was a tremendous boost as well for the organization. Yeah,
you guys won that tournament too, huh?
Yeah, we did okay.
You didn't drop a game, right?
yeah, we did all right on that one, dude.
I call that a success. Call that a success. Yeah.
For sure. And
it's always scary when you don't drop a game in the prelims and you get to Sunday and you're like, shit, we don't have one to drop now.
Yeah, no, I know. Dude, I couldn't agree with you more. It's like you just want to get that game out of the way. You know what I mean? And, but there is something to be said to go wire to wire and not lose a game. You know what I mean? That's pretty remarkable.
It was magical, dude. Like with the 20-year anniversary with Dynasty, and then with everything that's happened with 2020, to be able to have that opportunity. And me and Marcelo started this whole Play the Game podcast, and we had been really digging deep into focusing for that event and sharing it with the community, and then to go and do that, and then to have it be me and him in the finals.
Yeah, I mean that's a Cinderella story right there, brother. That's pretty epic. I watched the game, and I watched all your games, via the webcast. And I mean,
man, thanks.
You guys played your ass off. You know what I mean?
It was fun.
It couldn't have been a better storybook ending, man.
I know. Me and him, we were like, "What the hell just happened?"
Yeah, and you couldn't have written that script any better.
Yeah.
The thing is, I really believe our team worked harder than any other team leading up to it. It's kind of a simple formula, and I feel like when you win, you can always look back and hang your hat on the work that it took to do, to accomplish that. And this event really felt that way. I mean, Ryan was at the field every single day with me during the week. I know Tyler out there in Arizona, like when we didn't have Dynasty practice, Arturo was out at his field every day. Everyone was dialed in months ahead of time before there was a layout release, before anything. Like the focus was really all the way there. And that's why, everyone on the team just played so well. It was like there was just no doubt, and when you put in that kind of work, when everybody is, on the same level and buys into that kind of training, it's hard to beat, man, because you just mentally have more than the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, and that's that type of commitment is deadly. You know what I mean? If you get everybody firing on the same cylinders. Because it is easy. Like, obviously we all used to have like team practices, you know what I mean? The whole squad's there. Right. But, and it's easy to slack off when you're not, you know what I mean? It's easy to be like, I'm not going to go do drills today. It's easy. I'm not going to go to the gym today. It's like, I'll go tomorrow. You know what I mean? But when you have everybody buy in and fully commit that is, when it's super, super competitive, it's the small things that make the biggest differences, right? And so, it may seem like a small thing at the time, doing drills with you and Ryan or, T out there busting his ass and, and everybody working, and Rusty looking at film and
that's right.
That type of commitment is really what separates the best from the good. You know what I mean? And, it clearly it showed.
Right.
Yeah. Clearly it showed, and the way you guys executed. Obviously, you didn't drop a game. You know what I mean? And you did the work. And at this day and age, with obviously you guys are an incredible team and talented, but there's good teams out there. You know what I mean? And you gotta stay on top of it. And
I got to give a huge shout out to Rusty. We didn't send a player to the snake side on that final point. We just said, come and get some down the Doritos. And Marshy held his ground over there and made that shot, and it all came together. It was
Brian went rogue. He got into the snake and got bunkered.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. But and then also on that same note, huge shout out to Ryan, MVP, like doing everything he did and clocking in and doing work out there.
Ryan put on his mind.
He played possessed up the middle, man. You know what I mean? And I was talking with him after the event, and he's like, I wasn't even supposed to play the goddamn middle. And he was like, somehow I ended up in the middle. I'm like, well, bro, like it worked out in your favor, believe me.
Yeah. He says that.
That was me. And his story of that is such bullshit. For all the listeners out there. Dude, the first time I went up there was at the Impact DMG practice, and I shot 3 people. I was like, this is great. But then the more that I would go up there, he would die out of that can. Mm-hmm. And if somebody dies out of that can, it's a wrap. Yeah. Like that place crumbles. And I was like, dude, Ryan, you go up there. I'm not going up there because, one, I can't even hear you when you try to communicate from back there. It sounds like you're yelling into a wet cloth. You're just like screaming. I was like, you go up there. You're the man for that job. I'm the man for this job. It's going to work out this way. And so his version of the story is highly entertaining. Highly entertaining.
Well, we'll be sure to ask him about it this weekend, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure he'll be sure to tell you the dead honest truth.
Yeah, right.
Old Greens fan.
But that's what it's all about. It's that brotherhood, man. And we give each other a lot of shit and we have a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, when we step on the field, we all have each other's back, and it's really tight knit, community that we have built in Dynasty, and the love is there for each other, and that's what matters the most. You got to love who you're playing next to, or you're not going to do well out there.
No, I mean that's for damn sure, dude. Like, I couldn't echo that statement anymore. And it makes everything better. You know what I mean? It makes it's a big, it's a big sacrifice. You know what I mean? To pack your bags and leave, and especially Tyler is having a family, and like it's like the last thing you want to do is go hang out with a bunch of dudes you don't like. You know what I mean? Like you can be the best players and team in the world, but if you don't like the guy next to you, like it's like
And even if you're getting a big old fat check too, and everything seems nice, but it's like, are you really happy? Are you? Tell me. Come on, like
that's always been the whole thing with Dynasty. Well, back in the day, they were really getting paid for sure, but the last like decade, it's players that want to be on the team are on the team.
Right.
You know, players that understand the culture and what Dynasty's about, the brotherhood, have respect for, you know, the OGs of the team.
Mm-hmm.
People like Ryan, I give him probably more shit than anybody else, but there's a ton of respect for that dude and what he's done for the game and the organization and all of us, really.
And even if we don't get the mass amounts of respect back, we still have a lot of respect for what they've done. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay, because that'll come too. And it'll all work itself out. But you know, it's all about, like Marcelo said, the culture of the game and the love of paintball and what it
the
means.
culture of the team, Ty. The culture
and
of
the
Dynasty.
team. That's right.
Something that for so long, as long as I've been in the game, you know, the culture of Dynasty is its own thing, and teams try to replicate it, right? And maybe some teams have gotten close. You can maybe argue that X Factor has gotten kind of close. Aftermath, like maybe as a divisional team, got close, you know, but no team has ever replicated quite what Dynasty has done, especially for as long as they've done. Like you said, it'll be 20th year anniversary.
Yeah,
you know?
the tenure that Dynasty has is remarkable. You know what I mean? It's like it's unmatched. You know what I mean? You can't touch it. You know,
But they watched you and Avalanche do that, and that's kind of where the seed was planted, I think, honestly.
It's all our fault. God
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
If we would have only known then what we know now.
I know, huh? Full circle.
Yeah. Right?
Damn.
Yeah. No doubt, brother.
Yeah.
So LB, we did kind of get off track though with your story. I would like to dive into like the infamous days towards the end with Travis. You know, those kind of times, because there was some success there as well. You know,
So you know, when we formed Infamous, and I got to give John credit for the name. He came up with the name. It was either that, or I think we were going to be like Core or Effect or something. I don't know. Who knows. I mean,
Infamous is the one.
Yeah. And then and then Brandon Lambertson and Gator kind of with the whole stencil, and started tagging everything that could be tagged.
Literally.
Like garbage cans, people, shirts, trucks, cars, bags. So we formed Infamous, and we had success right out of the gate. You know what I mean? Win in Tampa, win in Denver, and we played a couple events. I don't know, like down in Mexico, we did well in, and we won. That was
in Mexico. You and I together when I was a youngster, and we did that photo shoot for Empire.
Yeah. That was crazy, dude. That was something else, brother.
That was crazy.
I felt like we were like driving through like Beirut, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's this like paintball field. But yeah, so and then Infamous remained competitive. We won Phoenix. I don't know if it was 07 or 08 NXL against the Russians, and it was the same sort of core. It was myself, Travis, John, Chris, Rusty. You know what I mean? Those five dudes that kind of remained. Again, I talked about earlier, like the foundation of the team. And I think that you have to have that in order to be successful and thrive and survive. You know what I mean? But that was, like John had come and gone, Rusty had come and gone, and it was just nice to get the band back together with Infamous and sort of ride out, my playing days with the guys that I was in the trenches with for the better part of my career, and
hell yeah.
After my son was born in 2009, and I knew that I had played professionally for I turned professional when I was like 13 or 14. So at that point in time, I had played professionally for like almost 16, 17 years, and so I had put a lot of time in, you know what I mean? And I knew that like the next chapter of my life was going to revolve around him, and, not wanting to travel as much. And, I lived in Chicago at the time, and the team was in LA or San Diego, you know what I mean? So every single Friday after work, I'm going to the airport and flying to San Diego, getting in at 10:30, and John picked me up, and we'd be out, Todd's Field at freaking, 8, and playing Saturday and Sunday, and then taking the red eye back to Chicago and going right into work. You know what I mean? So it just wears on you. And, and again, my son was born. And so I hung it up in June of 2009. And
Yeah.
so,
Shout
but
out to Todd's field. That field is crazy.
yeah, right.
Back
And I was,
with Aftermath and Dynasty and
oh my
everybody
God,
else.
dude, we would have battles out there, bro. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you guys, us, and Aftermath, and Mike, Mike and his guys, and that is like you had to earn it out there, man. Like
Oh, yeah.
there's no messing around. I mean, that it reminds me of back like Badlands, like Renix Field. You know what I mean? Like, it's kill or be killed. And you gotta earn it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
people got injured out there for sure.
oh, dude, yeah. I mean,
It was bad.
Todd did the best what he had to work with, but yeah, I mean, I just like that the turf and like,
Yeah.
there's good times though.
Yeah.
Good
No,
times.
not only by the turf, but by other humans.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I remember I mean, obviously Soy or Chris has got a little bit of a temper,
Yeah.
and
No, come on.
yeah, no,
Respectfully.
it's tiny, respectfully, a little bit of a temper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so there was moments. He definitely had some moments. We all did. You know what I mean? It was,
Totally.
going. I mean, that's
I was too small. I just shut up and it's just like, yeah,
right.
you win. You win.
Yeah. No, I
I was
mean,
just a kiddo at that time.
that's. I mean,
Do you still follow Infamous?
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sure,
yeah.
you do,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the organization? How do you feel about what they're doing right now?
I my hat's got to go off to Travis. What he has done. Not only keeping the team together, keeping obviously players come and go, but keeping the brand together and having Infamous still be a competitive paintball team is pretty awesome. What he's done. And then what he's, we always envisioned it. And obviously Trav has a great eye for it. He was behind a lot of the Empire stuff and behind the Valken stuff. And, obviously he was at JT for where he cut his teeth. And so what he's done with the brand, the Infamous brand itself is pretty dope. You know what I mean? And he's just gaining momentum, and he's gaining more and more momentum. And, him and I talk, to this day, we still talk like at least once a week, every couple of days, you know what I mean? And I'm super proud of him. I love that dude. I'd take a bullet for him. But what he's done, and it's tough to balance, obviously, it's traveling and going to these events it's not cheap, you know what I mean? And so he's figured out a way to make it work, within the budget. And, obviously he does have, sponsors and vendors that help out, but, a lot of it's coming from the team. The team's generating revenue for the team,
That's right.
And so, man, I'm super proud of him. I think what he's done is just absolutely fantastic, and I know that he's going to continue to work at it and be successful. And I keep waiting for like the royalty checks to come in. I don't know. I don't know if it got lost in the mail or I gave him my Venmo or just still.
We're gonna get him on and we'll ask. Travis is the man.
Yeah.
He was one of the coolest dudes that I got to play for. Honestly, I've got a lot of love for both the Lemanskis. Actually, Travis and Camille are both just rock stars in the game. I run into them quite frequently in the airport because they also fly Delta, so I'll see them in the lounge every so often.
Okay.
And they're coming back from events and get to catch up a little bit. But yeah,
Nice.
Travis is the man. So okay, so good about the image. How about skill wise? what they're doing as how they've actually been competing in these events.
Yeah, I think they're I think that they're like one or two players away from making it happen. You know what I mean? Like they have a very consistent skill level. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I know Cody's a stud. But I think that they need one or two absolute killers. You know what I mean? Like guys like a Lasoya. You know what I mean? That is out there for blood and and sort of a wild card. You know what I mean? Because they play. Obviously I watch them. There's a couple teams I watch. I watch them. I watch you guys because you guys are my buddies, and Travis is my roll dog, and so. They play a very disciplined paintball, and what I mean by that is like they're job orientated, versus you like flying by the seat of their pants, which is what we used to play. You know what I mean? Like we took from Image to Miami Effect to Infamous. We kind of played the same way. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that they play a more disciplined level of paintball, and it's a little bit more consistent across the board versus like, you know, get loose out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, I'm happy that they're competitive. I mean, obviously it's, you know, it was a team that I helped create.
Yeah, they're right there.
Travis, John, and Rusty, but I think that they need, you know, they need one, you know, maybe two more just killers, you know.
I think one kind of you know, elite level player would be all they need. They've got a ton of talent. I think picking up Ryan Hall was a huge pickup. He's kind of a little bit, he'll be a little bit of a wild card, go on the attack. You know, they have a good roster for sure. So. And actually at Cup, they played really well. They beat Impact 8-2.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Mercy ruled them. They just they ran into a really tough Damage team that was playing on fire.
Yeah.
You know, and that was why they didn't make Sunday, but they did go, you know, 2-2. They botched a game though. They did. They lost to a team that they definitely shouldn't have lost.
I didn't even know the name of them, and to be honest with you.
It was a lower tier team.
Yeah.
And those are the things that, like, when you have a real elite players on the team, and they have a few. Cody's been playing lights out, but you almost don't allow those teams to beat you, you know? And that's the difference between like the top 4 teams and the other teams. You just don't allow those bottom 5 teams to ever beat you.
Yeah.
It happens though. Paintball, you know, they're shooting paintball guns. We all know it happens.
And I love what Infamous has done with the branding and everything. They've really done a good job with that. And the team is right there. Like Marcelo said, if they had one more elite player, I think that they would be a top 4 team, be making Sunday and be able to, you know, give a battle in that top level paintball there.
Yeah, no, but you know, Travis won't give up. You know what I mean? It's made it.
Absolutely.
It's his life passion, you know, and you know, with Cam, he's got great support there, and you know, and I know that Kevin's really involved to help Trav with the branding and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, so I again couldn't be more proud of him. And
what a beautiful love story, Travis and Cam.
Right.
You know, it's just amazing.
Oh, I remember. Like, I think that I was with them on like one of their first dates. I think it was like St. Patty's Day, like, you know, 100 years ago. You know, I was Travis' best man at his wedding, and to see them get married, it was
that's
remarkable. That's real right there, man.
Totally, yeah. That's all love. That's
God bless him.
love.
God bless him. He's got adorable daughters, and he's in a house full of girls, and soon to be women, and you know, so that says something about his makeup and character right there. You know,
totally.
You know, I have been to his house. He does have kind of like an office and a getaway that he can go to, but that boy's got some patience, I'll tell you that much.
Yes.
LB, what do you do outside of paintball now for the listeners? What did you move on?
So when I left the industry, so like, you know, I was with board games and then National Paintball and then ultimately Key Action Sports. But when I left paintball, I went into medical device sales. So I worked for a private medical device company that specializes in minimally invasive surgery. So most of my mornings are spent in the operating room, you know, supporting our product and in our imaging platform. And so we make instrumentation. So for example, like, you know, when your appendix would burst before, what we would do is we'd cut you open, you know what I mean? Cut you open, put a 5-6 inch incision in your belly, pull the appendix out and sew you back up. Well, now, you know, everything is through ports in the belly. You know what I mean? We put a camera through your belly button and then a couple, like, you know, centimeter incisions on each side. And, you know, we call straight sticks. It's basically just tools like graspers and pliers and scissors and cutters and go in there, and, you know, you're working off of a monitor. So it's like playing a video game, you know what I mean? And
sure.
So surgeons, you know, do some incredible things with very minimal, you know, sort of openings in the body, and the recovery is better for the patient. There's less infection, less post-op trauma and post-op complication. You know, so yeah, and so then we, you know, in addition to all the instruments or tools that we use to do surgery, we also sell the video platform. So if you see, you know, and anything on TV, you'll see an operating room look like, and they're always looking at monitors, working on monitors. So I sell all that stuff too.
Wow.
So I've been doing that now for, God, it'll be 11 years in April.
And this has nothing to do with the degree you got in college,
Absolutely
right?
not. Absolutely not. No.
Do you think that your time in paintball and working with these different paintball companies in sales maybe assisted you in your career?
100%. Yeah. I mean, what I did in paintball was always sales related. You know what I mean? And it just kind of comes natural to me. I mean, I enjoy it. It motivates me. It's challenging. Like I'm not a supply chain guy. I'm not a customer support guy. I'm not I can't sit at a desk. Like I like to be engaged and out in the mix and, and talking to people and closing deals, man. That's like, there's a rush there. Like it's like a drug.
Gotta hang the flag, baby.
Yeah.
Gotta hang the flag.
Gotta hang the flag, brother. So yeah, I mean, all I did in paintball was sales, starting at war games, moving up through national and key. And ultimately, my sister is also in med device sales, and and I always thought that she had the life, and she did it. She does still do extremely well and did extremely well. I was like, man, I got to get a gig like that. You know what I mean? And so she helped me network quite a bit to get into the space, because it is a very, very competitive, difficult space to be in. You know what I mean? It's because it's lucrative. I mean, you can make a good living. And it's very rare to have, like, I remember when I was going through our orientation, like, of new hires at my company, there was probably 50 of us in the room, right? And, obviously I'm coming from paintball, right? Everybody else is coming from within the industry. Like, they're coming from some other medical device manufacturer and or med sales or something pharma, and, the dude that hired me, my director, he's like, he's a sports guy, and he's like, paintball, huh? He's like, professional paintball. I was like, damn, he's like, I didn't know, of course, like, I didn't know that's a thing, and you have to flesh it out for him. And so long story short, we're in orientation. Everybody's going around and introducing themselves, like, what your name is, where you're from, and where you came from, right? And so it gets like, there's 25 people, and then it gets to me, and I'm like, I'm Brian. I'm in Phoenix. I carry the ENT head neck bag, and I can't remember what I said, but it was like, I made it sound like super fancy, like selling paintballs and like, I thought I'm in sales. I came from in sales, like the extreme sporting goods world, and like something stupid like that. And my director goes, that's a fancy way for saying you sold paintballs for a living. And I'm like, yeah, I did that too. And then of course, like, the rest of the people go, like, everybody's from med device. And so they after, we broke and we went out that night, they're like, dude, really, like, this unheard of how you got into this space, like how you managed to break in without any med device experience. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, I saw something in me. So it seemed to work out. It's my 11th year with them, and
wow,
still keeping on, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's because of the uniqueness of the story. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
They're like, we got all these same story. Oh, paintball, dude. Yeah, you're in. Come on.
Yeah. And then of course, like, they're like there's predominantly, dudes in that training class, that orientation class. And then of course, they're like, were you good? And I was like, yeah, I could hold my own. You know what I mean? They're like, well, like, you played pro? And I'm like, yeah. And then of course they're like, and then like the next thing YouTube's up on the monitor or projector, because they Google my name and like they see me, being interviewed with whatever I'm playing, and they're like, holy shit, like, you're amazing. Like, there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us. Trust me.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
you gotta love that. See, paintball came through clutch.
Yeah,
100.
Yeah, that's awesome,
dude. I actually, there was another thing that we wanted to ask you about. This is like maybe the biggest topic of the show. I think we talked about Jeremy for a while, but this was a big one that I think you wanted to set the record straight on something. And it was about that penalty that Soy got in Texas when he shot the dude in the back of the head.
Oh.
And you got pulled. You were the guy that got pulled.
Dude, I mean, I love the dude to death, right? Like, he's my man. And I mean, he's one of my closest friends, but what a fucking bozo, man. Like, jeez. And he tried to pretend or make something up. Like, I saw the whole thing, and it's on film too, by the way. I don't know if Chris knows that. Like,
the film is great.
It was was it Riley, or did he executed somebody? Right? I don't know who it was. It's like, yeah.
It wasn't Riley. I forgot. He said his name. I think it was
Kyle?
Mike something. Kyle. It was Kyle.
Yeah.
Yes.
But dude, even in the video, so Lasoya Lasoya is hot, and we're all on the same team. Me, you, and Lasoya are
Yeah,
all on
yeah,
the same
yeah.
team. I'm
Oh,
watching, and we're on Oakland, and I just see Chris is fuming. I'm watching him on the field, and then I see him shoot the guy. I saw him shoot him, and the guy didn't come out. And then I watched Chris systematically walk all the way over to him,
yeah.
do what he did. And then in the video, you can see he's like pointing at him like, no, he's in the wrong. Like I didn't do anything.
Yeah, right. Well, you actually just executed the guy, Chris.
Yeah.
So I mean, granted, like I'm sure, like I believe all of that. Like I don't, the fact that you're validating, you seeing him get shot, and Chris has got a very short fuse, as we all know.
Yeah, he was done.
Makes him great. You know what I mean? And I will say, like we've all been shot, like on the top of the head from an inch away. You know what I mean? I will say there may have been like a little flop in there to some degree, but I mean, I would have sold it like that too. You know what I mean? And
For sure.
yeah, that I was like, dude, I mean, like I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. You know what I mean? But like there's a time and a place, bro. Like,
you heard the show that we did, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It was like, I was cold, baby. I wanted to go sit down.
yeah. I mean, that was the coldest event I think I've ever played in my life. But
it was cold on so many levels at that moment.
Yeah. And part of it is this too, again, like Chris will deny this. But part of it is like his bad boy demeanor. You know what I mean? Like he's one of the OG bad boys, you know what I mean? And he's a gangster, right? And that solidifies and cements his career. You know what I mean? And like in addition to a number of other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's
the cherry on top.
He's a bad mofo, man, and he's a guy that you hate to play against, but you love to have on your team. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Because he's unpredictable. You know what I mean? And that's what made him who he is.
I think we're gonna make some like collaboration with his face and like PTG or something if he lets us, and just sticker the world with Lasoya's face.
Absolutely. He actually called me this morning. I didn't answer specifically because I knew that he'd be like, dude, don't you run your fucking mouth. Like, so when you listen to this, Chris, I definitely dodged your call this morning on purpose. I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah. Lasoya love, major Lasoya love.
Trying to get him to come visit. He was supposed to. John came out. I don't know. It was maybe. I think you guys had practice. You guys were here for practice.
That's right.
Yeah, and John came out. It's supposed to be John and Chris, and then Skinny Kevin was supposed to come out. And Chris and Skinny like disappeared on Friday. Like they were like coming. Like they were driving out together, and like I picked John up at the airport, and like those two dudes just ghosted us. Like we never even heard from him. Texted him, called them, no response whatsoever. So he owes us a trip out. He owes us a trip out here. We'll get him out here to.
Lasoya, we need you.
Cause some ruckus. Yeah.
He's the ruckus lord. That's the overlord of ruckus.
I know he's such a shit starter too, dude. It's like I consider myself pretty disciplined, but like when he's around, it's just like okay, all right, whatever, all right, that sounds cool. Yeah. All right, sure, we can do that. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I've growing up with Chris around, like I said, I was just a kid, and then we had Marcelo, myself, and Chris on a team, and we've always just had Chris around. It's been the best experience having that dude around. He lights the fire.
He'll make it entertaining. I'll tell you that much. He's a funny dude too, man. Like
he is.
We're lucky, man. Tyler and I are honestly, I think we might be the two luckiest paintball players in the world because we grew up at a time and we're like getting good at a time where all the OGs, all like the legends, we got to like see them from a distance and admire them and then play with them and like build these relationships with like so many of you guys that I no kid is going to ever get to do that again, and not many kids did get to do that. There's a few, obviously, like Mouse was in the circle, J-Rab, Callie. Yeah. But I mean, it's honestly, it's amazing. Like the paintball community and you dudes are like the reason we're playing the game, Mm-hmm. And yeah, Tyler's right. Like we got to play with Lasoya in like 2012, on a team. I'm sure it was the later part of his career, but same old Lasoya. That's ridiculous. He was flying his ass through the center with his ponytail, bunkering full. Right, dude.
One word of advice: don't you ever touch that man's ponytail. If you real.
Oh boy, you want to see
Take
some?
the water.
Yeah, you want to see someone spit fire from their eyes, like that. That's off limits, bro.
I've seen someone do it and just get laid out. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like back in the day, like I feel like Shock, like I don't know if it's like Ronnie Simpkins, who I love and we all love. Like I feel like Shock was always threatening to cut it off or
Oh yeah.
something, like Mikey and Dino and Ronnie, like we're gonna kidnap Chris and cut his ponytail. I was like, oh man, like
Don't do it.
yeah, that's was mojo's in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Austin Powers, baby. He
Right?
needs, yeah, that's the mojo all day.
Yeah, that's for damn sure.
Did you, when you were running with Infamous, you guys did clinics as well and that kind of
Mhm.
thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
kind of break down that aspect of paintball and how you guys did that successfully, because Infamous with Rusty and all you guys, like, you guys crushed it with the clinics.
Yeah, so again, obviously, we had some bigger names in the sport on the squad. We were winning. That always helps.
Totally.
Participation levels go up. We had sort of started to kind of brand the name a little bit. Obviously, we had like a gun. We had loaders. We had boards for the guns, and some one offs here and there. And we. I got to be honest with you. I don't want to, take all the credit, but Rusty and I kind of were the driving force behind it. You know what I mean? As far as the clinics go, and then of course, we would bring in Trav, we'd bring in Chris, and bring in Andy. John really wanted no part of it. Which is, if you guys know John, is not surprising. And one of the best paintball players in the world doesn't want to teach other people how to be good. Which I get it, man. But
Yeah.
so
And he was.
I really enjoyed it. I think Rusty and I really, really, really took it on as a way to sort of give back, as you guys do. You know what I mean? It's like we want to continue to grow competitive paintball. The only way to do that is to teach people how to be better. And I loved it, dude. I loved getting engaged and sharing knowledge to kind of hand down and pass down and and help. If it's something as simple as sliding into a corner or learning how to shoot with your offhand or like understanding how to block out lanes and things that we take for granted, you know what I mean? But the younger generation or entry level players is mind boggling to them, you know what I mean? So
Totally.
we partnered with with Mike Goodman and PNL quite a bit. Kenny, I don't remember his last name. In Kentucky, we did a bunch of clinics there. We did Chicago clinics. We did clinics overseas, clinics in Mexico. All over, just like you guys do. And that was fun. That was a chance to kind of relax. You know what I mean, and still be engaged and I got enjoyment out of it. Some people. You either love it or you don't. You know what I mean? You can't half-ass the clinic as an instructor. You know what I mean? Because you'll see it, and it's not fair to the participants, and it makes you look like a shithead. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So I really, really enjoyed it, and met a ton of great people throughout it, and obviously Rusty's my man, and dear friend, and but he takes that shit serious. Obviously, he went into coaching. You know what I mean? And he's a student of the game and continuing to always evolve. And he's sort of taking coaching one step further. The biggest sort of example of that would be he studies film. You know what I mean? Like every professional sport studies film, you know what I mean? And I think that you guys all do, at this point in time, and Rusty helps kind of manifest or facilitate that.
And also I got to say, huge shout out to Victor Gamboa for helping us out with filming at the practices. That's huge to have film on ourselves.
Yeah, no, Vic, I just recently met Vic this past year. He's a great dude. Great dude.
Yeah.
But you guys have you guys have a very good system. You have a great coach. You have a great support system. You have incredible talent, obviously that drives the team. To continue to be better and continue to win. And that's really what it takes in order to do it at this level.
Yeah.
But the clinics again. I mean, they were fun to me. I mean, some guys
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
like it. Some guys didn't like it. I enjoyed it. I mean, I thought I got a kick out of it. And of course, like. It doesn't hurt that you're getting a little bit of coin to put in your pocket, you know what I mean, which is fair, you know what I mean. I mean, it's like it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Well, you're giving such valuable kernels of knowledge that they wouldn't get anywhere else.
Yeah. No, I mean, it takes years and years and years and years to develop and learn and understand how to pull it all together. You know what I mean? You can be good at one thing, you can be good at a couple things, but to be able to make it to become one unit and become a very well-rounded player, you got to get that from studying the game. You get that from learning from watching people play. You get that from from executing drills and doing all that shit. So the clinics, I think, are an important part of tournament paintball. You know what I mean? And you guys got to continue to do that. And
Yeah,
that'll help drive competitive paintball in the right direction.
We love doing the PTG Pro Schools. We've been doing those together, me and Marcelo, and he's been doing clinics by himself, and myself as well have been doing clinics. But it's been really fun, like you said, to travel with one of your best friends, meet a bunch of new people, or even some people that are reoccurring customers and want to keep learning. But it's just an amazing experience, like you said, giving back to the industry and making sure that we're passing down all these things that took us so many years to accumulate and really understand and be able to give it back. Because it's not quite the same. Like if your boy tells you something and he's not pro, he's on your team, you're like, all right. But I know if this guy tells me, it's like for sure, this is exactly what I should be.
It's gospel. If it comes out of Tyler Marcello's mouth, it's gospel. It's law. It's law. Yeah. This guy I've been playing with for 10 years. He tells me I don't believe him.
Yeah. That's how it goes, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah. Well, fortunately for us, we're able to travel around and have fun with tons of people from all over the world. And thank you, everybody out there who continues to support us. We appreciate you more than you will ever know. It means everything to us.
Yeah.
Teaching the game is one of my favorite parts about the game, and then you talk about the reoccurring participants, the players that come back year after year and time again, multiple times in a year. I have some players that follow me, if I go to a clinic and it's within, an hour flight from where they live, they're coming, and to see the progression over the years that's really cool. That you had a pretty, special input on that, and we're going to see it this weekend, Tyler, at the Combine. The Paintball Combine's coming up. When you guys listen to this, we're going to be driving out to Arizona, but there's going to be a bunch of players that have been to many of these, and they're on their way. They're on their way to the pro division, and that's really badass.
Talk to me about that a little bit. I mean, obviously I understand what the Combine is. I mean, I'm familiar with sports and that. So what are you guys doing? Like, what are you running them through different scenarios, drills, games, etc.? Or
yeah, all of it. So we've tried to basically put together a system that can actually showcase what players can do on the field, whether it's their skills or how they make decisions in games. So we have a set of pretty standardized drills that we do. We have a snap shooting drill, a running and shooting drill, off the break drill, and kind of like a snake drill, which is more of a movement type drill. So it's all based on time and accuracy, how long it takes you to perform these drills in conjunction with how many targets you can hit with a paintball, right? So all of these skills go into a metric that give you like an overall player rating, say, right? You get scored on all of these drills individually. They go into a massive database that is recorded forever. So it's in the system. Other coaches, other teams, other players around the world can actually log in online and see like, oh yeah, this kid came to our tryout. Let me see his scores. Let's see how quick he did on this snake drill. We need a snake player. So let's go. Oh, wow, dude, this dude, he was faster than Kyle Spica in the snake drill and more accurate, that's insane. Okay. Maybe he doesn't make the best decisions in the game, but we could work with this skill set, right? He has the fundamentals down. Then we also do a series of game situations. So we do like a half field attack the 50, and we give them a score 1 through 10 as we're grading these drills, based on their fundamentals, their teamwork, and their communication, right? So are they making the right moves? Do they understand their position? If the person is in a mid role, I'll be grading them based on, do they understand what they're supposed to be doing? Are they asking their front player, what kind of help they need? Like, we have a really intricate system as far as grading. And then the last day, which is Sunday, we divvy them up into teams and we do a big tournament out of it. And it's, that's where we kind of get to teach them a little bit more, but it's not so much a teaching event as it is a showcase, just like a normal combine.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, that's again, that's that's evolution in the sport. You know what I mean? And that's, at some point in time, like, you'll be able to use all those metrics the way you describe. And, when you do need to pull a player or draft a player or whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? It's no different than the NFL combine or the NHL combine or, all that. So, no, I think that's cool. That's cool. I'm looking forward to checking it out and seeing. Looking forward to seeing you guys, but looking forward to see how you guys put these guys and gals through it. Should be good.
Yeah. We can't wait to get everybody together this weekend. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's really cool. Honestly, it's an honor to be part of something where we're trying to standardize the sport, and bring it up to par with the other sports, and all sports have something like this. A big, motivating factor for the combine was going to fields, and I'm sure, LB, that you've done clinics. I guarantee you've come across this. You go to a field in, the Midwest or somewhere that isn't a big market area, and you see a player that's a spectacular player, but they just have no opportunity around there. They don't know what the path is to the pro division. So this kind of gives players an opportunity. You can come showcase your skills. There're going to be a ton of top level pros. There's going to be pro coaches. You're going to have your results recorded. It's a quantifiable metric on how good you are at these different skill sets that are required to be good at paintball: snap shooting, running and shooting, off the break shooting. These are important skills.
Yep.
So it gives them a path to go and, put their money where their mouth is. If you think you're good enough, you think you got what it takes, come and see where you're at the very least, And we've had players that have come through the system and have turned pro, Christian Martinez, Austin Beatty. Christian plays for the Ironmen. Austin plays for AC Diesel. They're actually both going to be out there for the first time this event, but they'll be on our side of things, which is kind of cool, as like guest professors, guest coaches, stuff, which is really cool for them. But they've come through the camp and done all the right things, and now they're pursuing their dreams. So
that's
you gotta love that.
That's rad.
Yeah,
that's rad.
Yeah, because prior to that, you had to live by a pro team.
Right.
So hard, dude. So hard. Yeah. So major shout out to Anthony, Lori, the whole BKI camp and program, because honestly, what they do for the sport is really monumental, and the goal is obviously long term that it is the standard for paintball, and you can have a legitimate combine event like we're putting on that is the standard, and players from around the world know that if they want to go pro, this is your best chance to do it. Come and showcase what you got.
Yeah,
I dig it. I think that's I like that it gives people the opportunity that, like you said, to people that are in rural areas that don't necessarily have access or a pathway, to your point. I mean, Anthony's a great dude, and I really have a lot of respect for him in the way that he's continuing to push the envelope, and obviously with your guys' help, I think good things will come.
Yeah. Shout out to BKI. Shout out to Anthony and Lori. We get to see all of them soon. We'll have a big fun dinner or something where we get everybody together and hang out.
Right.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Good, man. LB, anything you want to let the listeners know before we sign off here? Any last rebuttal? Lasoya, this is your last jab in.
Yeah, maybe the next one we do will be Chris and I at the same time, so that we can if there's any debate on anything, I'll be sure to correct the
Knights of the Round Table.
The Lasoya stories. But no, I mean, no, what I will say though, honestly, guys, it's an absolute pleasure. I feel honored and humbled to be on your show. I love what you guys are doing. I think that you guys are providing some real life content in paintball, from all different levels, and your goal I at least what I take away from it is to increase paintball awareness, grow the sport, share, your stories and love of the game, and be able to touch a bunch of people, and reach a bunch of people. And I think that's awesome, dude. So hats off to you guys, boys. Super impressed. I consider you guys great friends, and looking forward to seeing this weekend, and keep it up, dude.
Yes, sir. We will. We will. And it's a PTG. That's what it's all about. The culture of paintball, personal development, amazing stories like all the ones we've heard here today, and just having fun for the love of the game. It's brought so many great, amazing miracles to all of our lives, and we just want to keep passing that on and paying it forward. That's what it's all about.
Nice, boys. Nice.
Yep. Well, thank you for coming on, and you stay safe. And I know, it's been crazy 2020, but stay safe out there, and we'll hopefully see you in a couple days, and we'll have your kid out there shooting paintball guns and having a great time.
Yeah, no, I'll see you Saturday, boys.
Okay, sounds good.
Peace.
See you, bro. Peace.
What an amazing show. And that's another one, ladies and gentlemen, in the books. Huge thank you to LB for coming on and sharing those OG stories with us and really breaking it down. We truly enjoyed that one. This episode and this show is brought to you by our amazing sponsors, Brian Reese, Carl Sprental, and Luke Daly. Thank you guys so much for your contribution in making this show work. You guys are truly fundamental to the success of this show, and we thank you dearly. You guys can head over to ptgpaintball.com, check out any of our merch, any of our stuff we got going on. All of our shows, both audio and video, are on the website. You guys can also become supporters of the show through our Patreon. We are doing some really cool things for our Patreons over there. We've got an amazing private PTG players chat that no matter what level you get in on, you get access to this chat through Discord, and Tyler and I are in there nonstop to answer any questions that you guys might have. So whatever it might be, feel free to drop in, ask us something. We really want to build up the community in there, and we offer just cooler and cooler things, based on whatever tier you go to. So head over to the website, check it out, and again, we appreciate you guys so much. Our website is brought to you by Rusty Glaze at Concert Pursuit. If you're in need of web design, you already know Rusty's your guy. I think that's about it. We are going to be taking off to the Arizona Combine tomorrow or today. When you guys listen to this episode, we will be en route to the Arizona Combine. I'm very excited to see all the players out there and get to work. So until next week, we'll see you soon.